This opens the February 15th meeting of the San Clemente City Council. City Clerk?
Yes, I'll take the roll. Councilmember Ferguson. Here. Councilmember Noblock.
Here.
Mayor James
Here.
and Councilmember Ward and Mayor Pro Tem Duncan are absent.
I'll make a motion. We move into
I think we have.
Yes.
public comments.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And we have 2 speaker cards. A third person, I'll check that. Relating to closed session item B, the first one is Donna Vidrine.
My name is Donna Vidrine, and I am speaking on item B for closed session tonight. City-owned property, 100 Avenida Presidio, Old City Hall. The city in closed session is negotiating with various interested developers for potential acquisition or lease to include price and terms. We need to utilize our city-owned properties to address longstanding issues, not fritter them away to Band-Aid revenue shortfalls. Lease the Old City Hall property to create emergency housing and permanent supportive housing in San Clemente. This site is adequate to provide safe parking for those living in their cars with bathrooms and office space for case management and professional services, including mental health and addiction. Augment the site with manufactured units for supervised supportive housing for transition from living out in the elements. Our city has limited land resources available and planning for permanent supportive and affordable housing in our city is a priority. The business owners, taxpayers, the people and businesses of San Clemente want solutions for those homeless living on our street and public spaces. This is a public health and safety problem for the unhoused and for our city. City leadership has this opportunity to seek solutions with strategic planning. Do not sell or lease our city-owned land without planning for 1, emergency housing and permanent supportive and affordable housing for our city, and 2, prospective sites for a hospital with emergency services. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. City Clerk, let the record reflect that Councilmember Ward entered at 5 o'clock and Mayor Pro Tem Duncan entered at 5:01.
Okay. The next speaker is Kathy Esfahani.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Esfahani with the San Clemente Affordable Housing Coalition. I know you have a really tough job, but tonight it's the good part. You get to decide how surplus land can be used for the benefit of the community. I urge you to conclude that the best use of the surplus land we have at the old City Hall site is for affordable housing for very low and extremely low income San Clemente residents, including our homeless residents. As you know, there's a tremendous need for affordable housing in San Clemente. With the high cost of coastal land, it's nearly impossible for a fully affordable development to come together here. And that's why this opportunity for the city to donate land for a fully affordable project with a partner such as Jamboree Housing would be a tremendous benefit for our city because the housing would actually get built. It's a deal that could come together. As you probably know, our neighbor San Juan Capistrano is doing just that. They have surplus land in the form of their former City Hall site that they are donating for use for affordable housing, including supportive housing. It's actually on their city council agenda tonight for approval. And I think we should follow their example of trying to meet a very pressing need in the community with a resource that is available, and that's our surplus land. If you do not partner with an affordable developer, with a nonprofit developer for a fully affordable project and decide to go with market rate development, I hope that you will insist that actual units of affordable housing for very low income residents get produced, that you do not allow the developer to pay an in lieu fee and escape the responsibility of providing the affordable units we need. I further urge you to up the requirement. The 4% requirement that is in our inclusionary ordinance is way too low. It's ridiculously out of step with what other cities in Orange County have as their inclusionary requirement. So since this is a negotiation and you're in the driver's seat because you've got a valuable piece of land, push any developer who wants to put market rate housing at that site to put a significant amount of to include a significant amount of affordable units at that site. I urge you to do 20% affordable for very low income residents.
Thank you very much.
That's all the speakers.
May I have a motion to recess into closed session?
So move.
Second, please.
Second.
Second. Motion by Knobloch, second by Ward.
Councilmember Ferguson,
I'm a yes, but with a recusal for item A. Thank you.
Councilmember Noblock.
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Aye.
and Mayor James.
Aye,
Carries 5-0.
thank you. invocation person here?
Yes.
Excellent. Madam Clerk, it's 6 o'clock.
Okay. I will take the roll. Councilmember Ferguson,
Here.
Councilmember Noblock,
Here.
Councilmember Ward,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Here.
and Mayor James.
Here.
First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
So Deputy Rogers is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Deputy.
Nicely done.
Okay. First item on the agenda is an update on the homeless issue.
Invocation?
You are right. The invocation will be given by Martin Garth, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Can everyone please stand? Thank you.
Dear merciful Father of all, at the beginning of this San Clemente City Council meeting, we come unto thee with gratitude and to seek thy continued blessings. We thank thee for this beautiful, choice land in which we live. We thank thee for our fellow citizens, young and old, and for this community. We thank thee for thy peace and protection, and we appeal for thy protection from sickness and harm. We ask thee to bless those who lead and serve this community. Bless them with discernment and vision. As we consider the issues which we face, may we be guided by thy light and righteousness. Please bless all those who desire to build and strengthen our love for one another. May we preserve freedom and truth. Wilt thou hear our humble prayer in the name of Jesus Christ? Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, sir.
Update on the homeless issue.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. This is Adam Atamian, Deputy Community Development Director, here with the outreach report and the January update. If IT would not mind putting the January report on the screen. Thank you. So January has seen an uptick in the number of individuals that we had contact with this month, the number of outreach contacts. And subsequently from that, we've also been able to provide a few more services for some of our newer arrivals to the city. Of special note of this month, Brian, if you wouldn't mind going down a little bit. As far as our street exits are concerned, this month we were able to get 3 people into permanent housing services. And that's perfect. Thank you. Along with 2 other in shelter and assisted living for 5 street exits for this last month. So that was really positive. With the weather improving, we are seeing some more people coming here just to get out of colder situations. But Carly continues to work with all of our other agency partners, working to provide our homeless with the services and resources they need. Those are primarily the high points, but I'm available for any questions.
Council Member Ferguson.
Yes, I just wanted to note on, I don't know if Mr. Tamian has seen the emails, but we've received quite a few emails from residents letting us know about the increase in camping at the Metrolink parking lot. Not on the platform, of course, because that's prohibited, but can you give us an update, and perhaps the public would be interested in knowing what we're doing about that before summer comes?
Yeah, so the parking lot, there are some, I'll back up. There are some areas where people are simply not allowed to hang out and be, regardless of what they're doing. The parking lot is one of those situations. We had an individual last week who was parking in the hatched area of the parking lot closest to the trailhead of the beach trail. That area is meant for vehicular access and turnaround, and that's not somewhere where somebody can hang out or camp or do anything else other than use it for transportation purposes. So those types of issues are handled through our park ranger and code enforcement programs. We do make contact with these individuals to offer them services, of course, but just like somebody trying to, set up, chairs and stuff in a vehicular path of travel, like a street, we're not going to allow that to occur in the long term.
Okay, and how responsive has code enforcement and park rangers been when someone has filed a complaint, particularly on the weekends?
Well, if we receive the complaint, those are things that we will address immediately. Regardless of complaints, though, I can tell you that code enforcement and park ranger staff visit these areas daily.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. I was down there at North Beach and walking the trail yesterday. I saw 2 deputies working North Beach Jail pretty aggressively dealing with the homeless people. So it was nice to see them being active down there.
Thank you. Councilmember Ward, Mayor Pro Tem.
Continuing on with the North Beach trend, Adam, I saw some positive developments down there too. We used to have a lot of tents right on the stairs, I guess at the north end. That has dissipated in the last few days. Can you explain sort of what was done to move some of those campers out, and so that we don't have as many people kind of congregating at that stairway area towards the new beach hut deli?
Yes, well, that was actually just a regular maintenance project to clean up the area. That was something handled by Public Works.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So I want to give some kudos to Adam and his team. I contacted the city manager over the weekend about the growing number at North Beach. Additionally, about a situation we had adjacent to the historic city hall. And I don't know whether it was code compliance or park rangers who responded, but the response was fairly quick, and I appreciate that. And as of this morning, I think our North Beach problem, for the most part, has been dealt with. Is that true, Mr. Atamian?
The area looks much better. I will agree with that. It's the North Beach train station is going to be attractive for a while. It's so what we're doing now is we're going to continue our proactive approach to making sure that that area is maintained for our transit users and members of public using the beach, and then doing whatever we need to provide the services necessary to ensure that people don't need to camp there.
Thank you. City manager, I have a suggestion I'd like to bring up. I'll bring it up as a motion. The city of Long Beach has recently enacted a bike repair ordinance. You might ask what that has to do with homelessness. Well, it has a lot to do with homelessness. It has a lot to do with missing bicycles and stolen bicycles and such. So I would ask staff to investigate the Long Beach, I'm making a motion, the Long Beach ordinance, and to bring it back to at our, I think it's 5th of March meeting.
March 1st.
It's March 1st.
Yes.
Thank you. To bring it back. Now I'm going to give you more time than that. The March 16th meeting. And bring it back for consideration for an ordinance in the city of San Clemente.
One question, clarification. Would you like the draft ordinance that we find to be provided to the Public Safety Committee before it comes to the city council so that they may review and opine on it as well?
Thank you for that reminder on proper protocol.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
I would.
Yes, sir.
Can I have a second and a third?
I'll second.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for the third.
One last comment, and I'd be remiss, Adam, please give our thanks to Carly for her good work getting those 3 individuals into permanent housing. I think that's the answer. Long-term is connecting folks not just to services, but to housing where they can take advantage of those services. So please pass on my thanks to her for that.
I do have one more question. I'm sorry. When is the point in time count going to occur?
Point in time count for the unsheltered population is February 23rd through the 25th.
And are we currently recruiting volunteers to do that?
We are, anyone who's interested in volunteering can go to everyonecounts.oc.org to sign up and register for volunteer opportunities, including training opportunities.
And who's going to do that count? Who's in charge of that count?
Orange County has contracted with CityNet to manage the count.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other comments?
Mr.
Thank you,
Mayor,
Adam.
Mr. Mayor, did you want to vote on that motion
yeah,
or at least
please.
have a third? Okay.
We have a
Just
third.
vote.
I was the third for staff.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. In that case, it's not
Yes,
necessary.
exactly.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is presentation of a proclamation to Betty Fiery, Executive Director, American Red Cross, proclaiming March 2022 as American Red Cross Month.
Bear with me. City of San Clemente, whereas in times of crisis, people in San Clemente come together to care for one another. The humanitarian spirit is part of the foundation of our community and exemplified by the American Red Cross volunteers and donors. Whereas in 1881, Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross, turning her steadfast dedication for helping others into a bold mission of preventing and alleviating people's suffering. Today, more than 140 years later, we honor the kindness and generosity of Red Cross volunteers here in San Clemente who continue to carry out Clara's life-saving legacy. They join the millions of people across the United States who volunteer, give blood, donate financially, or learn vital life-preserving skills through the Red Cross. Whereas in San Clemente, the contributions of local Red Cross volunteers give hope to most vulnerable in their darkest hours, whether it's providing emergency shelter, food, and comfort for families devastated by local disasters like home fires, donating essential blood for accident and burn victims, heart surgery and organ transplant patients, and those receiving treatment for leukemia, cancer, or sickle cell disease, supporting service members and veterans along with their families, caregivers, through the unique challenges of military life, helping to save the lives of others with first aid, CPR, and other skills, or delivering international humanitarian aid. Whereas their work to prevent and alleviate human suffering is vital to strengthening our community's resilience. We dedicate this month of March to all those who continue to advance the noble legacy of the American Red Cross founder, Clara Barton, who lived by Her words, quote, "You must never think of anything except the need and how to meet it," unquote. We ask others to join the commitment to give back to their community. Now, therefore, I, Gene James, Mayor of San Clemente, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the laws of San Clemente, California, do hereby proclaim March 2020 as Red Cross Month. I encourage all citizens of San Clemente to reach out and support its humanitarian mission.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council members. We're very proud to partner with the City of San Clemente and grateful for all that you do to support our mission. Thank you.
Council member from Aliso Viejo, by the way.
Good evening. I've joined our executive director, Becky Fiery, to thank you for this proclamation and also to remind everyone that this is a time of critical blood shortages. So I am happy to serve with the American Red Cross as their community volunteer leader for Southern California, among other things. And I'm happy to see so many friendly faces here. So we're looking forward to a continued partnership, and I would like to express our gratitude on behalf of the organization. Thank you very much.
Members of the audience who wish to address council on matters that are within the jurisdiction of the City of San Clemente, but not separately listed on the agenda, may do so during the oral communications portion of the meeting. Speakers may address council once during either oral communications part 1 or part 2. A total time of each speaker being allotted 3 minutes, which give his or her presentation. And I do have some cards. I'll read 3 at a time. First speaker will be Denise Webster, followed by Chad Kroger, followed by JT Parr.
Good evening. My name is Denise Webster. I've been a resident of San Clemente for 28 years. I come to you tonight as a board member from the Forester Highlands Association. Several of you have probably received emails from a number of us in that area. We are dealing with a sober living home at 4425 Mara Scarpa. We've had numerous issues with that residency, and I really want to do a shout out to our Sheriff's Department because they've been a godsend to us. So thank you so much for your assistance, as well as our Orange County Fire Department. We are kind of at a situation where it's causing not only irreparable harm in our community, but mostly dangerous situations. We've had a fire that's been started up against a slope, which put residents at risk. We have had numerous people driving up and down the street at excessive speeds. We've had people that have been drunk. We have had disorderly conduct. We have had domestic violence, you name it, it's happened. And so I'm coming today as kind of a board member to ask the city, what can we do? How can we partner to try to eliminate a situation? The people that own this home, we're trying to work with them to evict the particular agency that is leasing this property. We believe there's a lot of different issues with code enforcement and with some problems that are going on within that facility, but we would love to hear any advice, any guidance that you could provide us and see if we could try to help better our community with this current situation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
What up, council? My name is Chad Kroger. So normally I come to you with stoke, but unfortunately today I have brought beef. You have committed a grave sin against the public interest and against the public good. And I think you know what I'm talking about. You moved the 16th tee box on the San Clemente Municipal Golf Course, and now it no longer has ocean views. And the worst part, this was done without any sort of due process. The San Clemente Municipal Golf Course is ranked by inertia.com as the second sickest, most affordable golf course in SoCal. And now, according to our sources, a schmoll asked you to move the tee to a different location, so his house is no longer getting pounded by golf balls. And I've heard from numerous upstanding citizens that their stoke has been so diminished by this change that they now find themselves ruminating on things like the economy, which is not good. And on top of that, it's not even easier to hit his crib. So yeah, talk about a classic case of karmic retribution. It's honestly like one of those O. Henry stories. Golf is so crucial. It offers a dank respite for the common man or female, and nothing boosts the stoke more than shotgunning a Michelob Ultra and bombing the fairway with your boys. That is why we ask you, council, to reverse this decision ASAP. In these turbulent times, we need golf more than ever. Also, Kelly Slater plays his course. Thank you.
JT Park.
What up, council? My name is JT Parr, and I am also here to protest the relocation of the Blues tee on hole 16, which had the most epic views and which was moved without due process. Now, you may not think tee box views or even golf are that important, but you could not be more wrong. I wrote a song to the melody of a Corinne Bailey Rae tune, and it's about why golf means so much to me. Blue is the sky, sunburnt with my homies. You drop dong if you don't clear the red tees. Chest bumps after bombs, it's a golf thing. Talking smack got me smiling in my backswing. Maybe sometimes we shank and slice, but it's all right. Through all these COVID days, the course kept the boys sane. Yo, flag the cart girl down. Golf ain't about the scores. It's chilling with your boys. It's about nut taps and chip shots. Boys, get your foursome on. High fives and hitting bombs. Let's hit the half house for hot dogs. You're gonna find the green some way, somehow. Bring back the tee box. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, I don't see the light on the speak. I don't see the light on the speaker box.
We'll get it. The next three speakers are Amanda Kitnia, Paula Cole, and Jeannie Algali.
Hello, council
Can't read the
members.
rest of that, I'm sorry.
I strongly support a person's right to safety and the right to privacy as provided by the state of California's Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, where it gives each citizen an alienable right to pursue and obtain privacy. Recently, I went to Hermosa Sports Park, Jim Johnson Memorial Sports Park, Pico, San Gorgonio, and Macford Park. The bathroom conditions vary from one park to the next. Of course, the older parks lack doors, toilet seat lids, and some were not up to ADA standards. Macford Park is the oldest park, and it does not have any doors on the bathroom stalls to provide privacy. Also, there were no toilet seats. These are issues that needs to be addressed. The bathrooms at San Gorgonio Park do not have any doors as well for either bathroom. When a person opens up the door to the women's bathroom, the stalls are plainly visible to people entering the bathroom and individuals outside as well. There are no toilet seat lids. More importantly, the bathrooms at San Gorgonio need to be compliant with ADA standards. According to the Department of Justice, there is no grandfather clause. ADA access is required in public areas such as a park. Last week, the maintenance department informed me that they don't have any doors because of vandalism, but there's no signs that there was even any stalls on them. I attended the Beaches, Parks and Recreation Commission meeting on February the 8th. And Commissioner Washington stated that the bathroom doors were not waiting for the master plan project, which means that this could involve immediate action. Additionally, Chair Pro Tem Campipiano stated that as long as she's lived in San Clemente, people have been complaining about it for many years. Therefore, this is a at the December 21st, 2021 Beaches, Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, the director of Beaches, Parks and Recreation stated that they have discussed these bathrooms and they are in need of a refresh. However, they there was no urgency regarding the matter. Therefore, this is a blatant disregard to protect the privacy rights, especially of people with disabilities, since the ADA stall is in plain sight. I think people have the right to privacy and maintain dignity, respect, and decency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Paula Cole, and I'm on the Board of Directors of San Clemente Village. And I'm here to advertise a job opening that I think the city should know about. Our executive director is retiring, and we wanted everyone to know that there's a job opening here for a paid part-time position. San Clemente Village is one of the nonprofits in town. It serves older adults 55 or older, and we help them stay in their homes. What we do is we have a bunch of volunteers, and we provide transportation to doctor's appointments, hair appointments, nail appointments. We walk their dogs. We do gardening for them. Now that COVID is over, we can go back into their homes and we can help them with technology, because a lot of them don't know how to use technology. These people are 90 years old. Many of them are on walkers. They can't do things for themselves. So we help them stay in their homes, which is really, really important. Next slide. The person we're looking for is someone who's used to working with nonprofits, who knows how to do grant writing, knows how to do fundraising, good at public speaking, communications, interpersonal skills. And some of their training should be gerontology, public health, social welfare, management, and someone maybe who's used to working with an organization that's nonprofit that has a lot of volunteers and a lot of members and a lot of things to do, because there's pretty much activities every single day. Next slide. Again, the position is part-time. It pays a good fee. It really does. It's negotiable, 50 hours every 2 weeks. If you are interested, or you know anyone who's interested in applying, you can email Jan Montague. She's janm@scvillage.org. That's the phone number. You can probably also get a hold of anybody on city council who'll know how to get a hold of me, so that I can tell them how to apply for this job, and are very interested in seeing who applies for the position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I've been a San Clemente resident for about 8 years, and I love living here. It's a wonderful city. And I'm Joni Angeli. I lead COA Entertainment. COA is Community Outreach Alliance, with the goal of being able to keep teens and youth in to choose a healthy lifestyle, staying above alcohol, drugs, and substance abuse. My purpose today is to promote a really wonderful event that's coming up. It's called You're Worth It. It's a live music event with a panel discussion, a resource fair that's supporting mental health, targeting youth and young adults. This event is put on by COA, working along with Connect OC. That's a lot of agency and nonprofits in the coalition, all related to mental health. The event is March 12th from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock at the Baha'i Center. I'm going to leave some flyers here, as well as if you go to the website, Community Outreach Alliance, you'll see the flyer, the QR code to register, and it's going to be a very dynamic event. Resources and education about mental health, and I'll put in a plug for the COA Entertainment. It's going to be some very talented youth that will be singing the original song they wrote and recorded, Worth It, along with about a 30-minute live music set of very inspirational songs. Please tell the youth and young adults to come to this event, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. The next speakers will be Olga Resnick, Aaron Miller, Don Kunze, and Mickey Rathman.
Hi, dear council members. My name is Olga Reznik and I live on Via San Gorgonio Street. First, I want to thank the council and especially Laura Ferguson and Jean James for listening to Via San Gorgonio Street community concerns in regards to pickleball noise. I hope the help is on the way. Today, I'm speaking in regards to San Gorgonio Park development. As a resident of Shore Cliffs community, I strongly oppose the inclusion of the skateboard court in the park. As for my knowledge, none of Southern Orange County cities has it in the residential area. Lake Forest, for example, built it in a commercial area, but even then, there was a lot of vandalism to the neighboring shopping area. The city was forced to erect a 7-foot fence along the road to separate it from the stores. Right now, San Clemente has one skateboard facility and it located in industrial zone. So why are we so lucky to have it? You know, it's just unfair to the residents. It is a big mistake to place it in a residential area. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
My name is Erin Miller, and I'm a homeowner in Forester Highlands area of San Clemente. And I'm here to also speak on what Denise was speaking on, the sober living home up on Mariscarpa in our neighborhood. I'm here to request that steps be taken to cease the operations at the sober living home that's been open in our neighborhood despite numerous troubling incidents and responses from the police. My family is personally affected by the house due to our location very close to it. The sober living home is located on Mariscarpa, as we've said, and its backyard is directly up and across the street from my home where my husband and I and my 2 young children live. Over the past couple of years, we've had numerous instances involving noise and obscenity coming from the backyard of the house. And it's culminated recently in, as Denise mentioned, a fire up on the slope and several more police calls, screams at night, things that are just bizarre and very troubling. My children have had to hear some pretty obscene words and conversations that have been broadcast from the backyard of the sober living home and into our front and side yards. It's like a canyon and it's an echo chamber between our houses. My children go out and play almost every day, and I'm constantly pulling them back in when I'm hearing conversations they shouldn't be hearing. The noise and obscenity in my neighborhood that's heard in my yard includes heated yelling phone calls, rap music or other performances shouted from the yard, and loud conversations that are really inappropriate for my young kids to hear. There are a lot of F-bombs coming out of the backyard. So our Forester Ranch neighborhood is not the appropriate place for operations or uses of this nature. And I hope that the council can somehow quickly help us take action against this. We're still trying to figure out ways to do this and maybe designate a more suitable place for this and similar operations that are taking place in San Clemente's quiet neighborhoods with a lot of young children. We live there to get away from this kind of stuff, and we just want our kids to have a quiet life for a little while. Thanks.
Thank you. City Manager, can you comment briefly about the meeting we're setting up?
Yes, so I know we've been in communication with Ms. Webster and a number of other residents. I don't know if we've been in contact with the previous public comment, but we have a meeting that we're putting together tentatively for Wednesday of next week, which will include Orange County Sheriff's Department, Orange County Fire Authority, the city's Community Development Department to work with the residents to mitigate the concerns that they have forward. And I know the mayor and the mayor pro tem will be at that meeting as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I understand that the licensing is not done by the city, but by the state of California.
It's not a licensed facility. We thought it was.
Oh, it's not licensed.
We just learned that today.
Oh,
Interesting.
wow.
Don Kunze, followed by Nikki Rathman.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Don Kunze, resident of San Clemente, and I'm here tonight regarding Rancho Mission Viejo Area 5 land development. You were talking about annexing it, but the main concern you should have is regarding Area 8. I want to thank Councilwoman Ward for bringing it up to your attention. The city has given away the Donald O'Neill Land Conservancy to the Rancho Mission Viejo Company, and Tony Musso has also built his lake or reservoir, if you want to call it that, behind Talega, which brings us to the last thing he needs. He needs his road. And you know, he's built his own road from Oso to Ortega Highway, Las Patronas. And he's going to need that connected from there to the end of Pico for his Area 8 and his 50,000 homes that he's planning on building back there. I'd like to have the city say no to the connection of his road to Pico. Of course, you know, the final thing will be his pavement from there to the South 5. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor James, council members and neighbors. I'm Mickey Rathman, a small business owner of Mickey's on Del Mar in downtown San Clemente. And I know the council saw me quite a bit last year and quite a bit during the fourth quarter asking for a lot of things. Could we, start the trolley early? Could we keep the trolley going? Can we still keep the trolley going? Can we turn the holiday lights on early? Can we have an open shopping area for our retail stores during the holiday shopping season, and sharing my enthusiasm over the closing of the outdoor dining in November. So I just wanted to come and to say thank you for all that you've done to support small businesses like myself in San Clemente. We had a great year in 2021. Our year-to-date revenue, even this year, is up 30%. And as you look at our end of the year for November, the last 6 weeks, of 2021, our revenues were up 33%. So I don't know, I just wanted to come and say that because I know I come and ask for a lot of things and tell you about things that are happening that aren't so exciting. So I just wanted to come and say thank you and tell you that things are looking up for businesses downtown. So thank you very much for all that you do to support our local small shops.
Thank you. Not only do you ask, but you twist our arms, by the way.
Hey,
Next speaker.
Thanks. Actually, that's all the speakers. Okay. So next item on the agenda is the motion to waive reading in full of all resolutions and ordinances.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ward, second by Noblock.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock.
Aye.
Councilmember Ward.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan.
Stepped out.
He stepped out. And Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 4-0. Are there any items that need to be agendized for immediate action? None? Okay. Closed session report, city attorney.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor and Council. The council took one matter of litigation up, 3 matters of property negotiations up in closed session. On the first item, item A relating to litigation, Councilmember Ferguson recused herself from that conversation. In all 4 matters, the council gave direction to staff, but took no reportable action on any of them.
All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion without discussion, unless council, staff, or the public request removal of an item for separate discussion and action. And I have not received any requests for removal.
Okay.
Oh, here.
I would like to.
Oh, wait, we just
think
got
we-
one. Item 6A1.
6A1. Okay. I think you have others up here.
That's all.
Okay, I think it's settled.
Okay. So the only one to be removed is 6A1.
I have item
Council,
P.
have any others?
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor James. 60. 60.
6O.
And I just received a request to remove 6P.
I also pulled that item.
Oh, wait, it says only if this item is pulled, so disregard P.
No, I pulled that item
Okay,
P as in Paul.
as in Paul.
I'd like to pull item Q as in Queen, and I'd like the record to reflect I'm going to abstain on item O as in ocean because of my proximity to that project.
Okay. Did we pull O? Did I hear someone pull O?
Yes.
You did. Okay.
Councilman Ferguson.
Thank you. All right.
we have a motion to approve the balance.
Motion
I'll
approved.
approve the balance.
Second,
Second. Motion by Ward, second by Noblock.
with the exception. that I will
With the
be voting
exception of
for
O. With the exception of
O
Q.
as an ocean.
O as an ocean.
Would someone else like to second?
For
Just
O.
for O, it would look funny in the minutes.
Mayor
Yeah,
Pro Tem.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so Councilmember Ferguson,
Oh, okay, on item 6O.
No,
No,
we're moving the
doing a roll
balance.
call.
Oh,
Voting.
For the
yes,
balance.
yes, I'm a yes.
okay,
Thank you.
Councilmember Noblock,
I'm a yes again, with the exception of item O as an ocean, which I'm abstaining from.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Aye.
and Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Okay, 6A1, Amanda Kitnia.
Hi, council members. Basically, at the last city council meeting, I requested changes for the minutes to be changed for the January 18th meeting. I requested the word understaffed be added to what the clerk had written about lacked capabilities, also to add recruit quality physicians and surgeons. And I just want to let you know that I'm really satisfied with what was changed. However, the discussion of adding some words took a whole other matter. The city clerk stated that the public comments are becoming more narrative, and which we have never done, but there is some objections to that. But when reviewing policy 1201-11, section 4.6.3 states, minutes shall be prepared in brief, concise form in what are commonly referred to as action minutes. Action minutes memorialize what was done at a meeting as opposed to what was said at a meeting. And I know when reviewing all the minutes that I went back from the most recent to all the way to June, there's a lot of comments saying stated, the person stated, discussed. And so I just feel like we just need to abide by the policy as it stands. And I think that would be the best way rather than reinvent, doing other, making changes to a policy that's already been in place. But I wanted to thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
I'll move 6A1.
Second.
Councilmember Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Aye.
and Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Okay, the next item would be item O.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, let's see, before we do that, Councilmember Noblock, because this is contested and you live within 500 feet of it, yeah, you should recuse yourself from the room. Thanks.
Perfect. Okay, I pulled this item regarding the replacement of trees that were removed in the Rancho San Clemente community. And I just have a little sticker shock from the total that it's going to cost to put in palm trees, these large palm trees at $426,259. I love trees, believe me, I love trees. I'm putting some in my own backyard at this moment. But I just think we need to really look at this and consider the debt, especially the pension liability debt that we have of 50 million, and reconsider putting in the size of trees and possibly reconsider and place smaller palm trees here and watch them grow. There's no purpose of shade that these palm trees will provide. So the need for that is not even consideration, but I just would like to have us do that and just really get back to our push to really save money and start addressing our debt and save these pennies wherever we can and be more frugal. So in that regard, I just wanted to make a motion to delay this a month, to have staff look at that and see what we can do to stay under even like 50,000 max to replace these palm trees and put a smaller type in there so that we can save money and just let them grow over time. They are pretty quick growing. I've planted some before and they do grow pretty quickly, but that's my recommendation
Thank you.
to delay this.
So city manager, my question would be, how tall are these trees and how many are we planting?
I'm going to defer to our Public Works Director, Kyle Koger.
Thank you.
Mayor, council members, Kyle Koger, Public Works Director. We typically, I'm not sure the height of them, but they're normally planting like 24 and 36-inch box trees. So the base of the tree, the box that it comes in is usually 2 foot or 3 foot in the diameter. The point about maybe planting smaller trees, that can be a little problematic when trees are real small, and if you have kids walking by them and pulling on them, it can kind of damage them. It's usually a little bit more preferred to plant a little bit larger tree, especially like in a park or something. And I just wanted to state that we are planting over 400 trees. I believe it's a 407. So I know that's a lot of money, but it is a lot of trees as well. And they're not all palms. There are a lot of palms, but there's also magnolia and golden rain trees.
So Mayor, I'm not going to be for seconding that. We have staff that handles this. And like staff said, this is over 400 trees. I think the amount of money and the size we're putting in is appropriate and what the community wants to see.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Is this the budgeted amount that we had for this project, or within the budgeted amount?
Yes, sir. This actually came before you in December, and we had a bid issue, so it had to reject bids and go back out to bid. It actually raised the price about $30,000, but it is within budget.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't see a second. So
Let's,
I'll move that. I'll
I'm
move
sorry, but
6-0.
I did make a motion, Ms. Ward.
I don't
so-
see a second.
Well, we
Well,
didn't call for
let's-
the vote.
We don't
Well,
have a
we
vote. if
don't
there's
we
no
don't have a
second.
second
Okay.
on your motion.
Okay.
So
thank
I
you.
will move 6-0 as written.
I have a second on that.
Second.
Motion by Ward, second by Mayor Pro Tem.
Councilmember Ferguson,
No.
Councilmember Noblock is abstaining, Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Aye.
and Mayor James.
All right.
Carries 3-1-1. Next item is item P. This is consideration of grant application authorization for PierPride, and we do have one speaker card. From,
Okay, I believe that was only if it got pulled by council. So I'll talk about why I pulled it first and ask the city manager. Mostly, I just wanted clarification on this. That it's for, I guess we're going to participate or help give our blessing for PierPride to ask for a grant. But I wanted, is that basically what it is?
Correct. We're authorizing them to pursue a grant with the California California Conservancy.
Okay, so what I wanted to make sure is that it says to optimize and improve the base of the pier bike rack area. Is that only the area that is to the west of the railroad tracks?
Correct. Adjacent to the RSVP
Right.
shack.
Okay, the only thing that I was concerned about is it says and replace existing storm drain infrastructure. That's something that the city's looking at. That is not in that area. Is that in the area below, or is it in that area?
That is in the area as well by the RSVP shack as well.
Okay, so the only reason I pulled it was just for clarification of where this is at, and I'll move it. So I don't know whether the speaker still wants to speak. Oh,
Mickey Rathman, you still
You
want to
had
speak?
questions. I think the speaker needs to address your question.
Hi, Mickey Rathman. In addition to being a small business owner in town, I also volunteer my time on the board of PierPride. In the work that we do to benefit our peer, we're always on the lookout for grants and opportunities. And our board did come across this Coastal Conservancy grant where we could apply for up to $500,000 of funding for some things that would benefit the pier and the Pier Bowl. But some of the work is things that the city was already looking at. And of course, in our partnership with the city, it's really important for any monies that we try to get that you, of course, the city is excited and can use them. So we sort of, I guess, wanted the blessing of, yeah, go for it, go for this $200,000, because we will be able to use it for things like expanding and improving the bicycle parking, improving the park house, that RSVP area, installing some educational signage, as well as upgrading the trash enclosures. And then, of course, there's sort of the unsexy stuff of the storm drains, which is really important. And we also believe that it might help some of our, water numbers, the water quality numbers that we see under the pier, by being able to have those storm drains fixed. So that's sort of why I guess we just came to say, hey, do you think this is a good idea? We're excited about it. And to show our additional excitement that we're also pledging $20,000 to go toward this project as well. So in addition to the $200,000 that the grant would provide, PierPride would also be pledging an additional $20,000.
Very good. Thank you, Mickey.
So I'll move that item since I pulled it.
And second.
Second.
Councilmember Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Aye.
and Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Next item is item Q. That's the California Coastal Commission grant for coastal resiliency.
I pulled this item.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask staff about the coastal permit. I need to understand that once our coastal permit, our coastal plan is approved, this city council, rather than the coastal commission, will have the ability to approve projects within the coastal zone. Is that correct?
That's accurate, but I will ask Cecilia, I think there are some certain things that come to the city council and certain things that still go to coastal, but I'll let her explain that.
That was the essence of what I was getting at, the minor versus major. and-
Understood.
And what authority we have, because I think there's a real need to address that issue. But go ahead, Cecilia. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council, Cecilia Gallardo Daly, Community Development Director. The goal is to be able to issue coastal development permits in the coastal zone when we have a certified local coastal program. There is going to be an appealable jurisdiction, and that's basically from the ocean to the first public roadway, where the city can still issue the coastal development permit, but the Coastal Commission has appeal authority. And that is something that occurs statewide. So it's not limited to San Clemente. And then there's still the area of Capistrano Shores, which is in, it's similar to deferred certification, meaning any permitting would still go through the Coastal Commission for anything proposed at Capistrano Shores. But for the most part, the city of San Clemente will be the permit authority.
So my question is, Cecilia, does the jurisdiction go, you said from the ocean to the road? How about from the ocean into the ocean? Is that covered with our coastal plan? Specifically, let me clarify it. So specifically, if this council were to permit itself as the jurisdictional authority within the zone, to permit a dredging operation from off our shore to the sand that's been moved from our beaches offshore 50, 100 yards. If we were to authorize as a project a dredging operation to push that sand, pump that sand in a rainbow effect back onto our beaches, would require coastal permit or just the ability of the Coastal Commission or the members of the public to appeal that decision, a decision of that nature?
For that specific situation, I would have to look into that a little more. I'd want to say that we'd still have to get authority or approval from the Coastal Commission on a project like that. But I can't say for sure at this point.
So in your mind, at the present time, our coastal development program wouldn't authorize a project of that nature?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, well, my thinking on that, and I'll just end my comments with this. My thinking is sort of like the Kevin Costner movie Field of Dreams. if you build it, they'll come. If we permit it, they'll pump it. And I'm just wondering if we could be proactive with our beaches and either do it ourselves or ask the Coastal Commission to permit a dredging operation to simply move the sand in. I know what there's environmental issues, there's other issues involved, but I was just wondering if the jurisdiction that we have under our coastal plan would allow us to do that. Cecilia says she doesn't think so.
Would you like to agendize that and give staff?
I'd like to discuss it because I'd like to know how far we can go. That seems like such a simple approach. We're taking sand that's already there, that's simply been washed offshore and simply putting it back. We currently dredge with our bulldozers, the sand up out of the way. We're simply moving it in the other direction from the ocean onto the beach. So I'd like to at least think about that and see where we can go.
So
Can
I'll
I
get-
make a
anyway.
suggestion? That maybe we ask for a white paper to come to us with the regulations, because the reason we only do it from a certain point is we're not allowed to go past, I think it's the
think
mean
these-
tide line. We're not allowed to go
I think,
in there
I
and do
think
that.
that's what.
But a white
Councilmember-
paper,
I think that's what Councilmember Noblock is
Yeah.
getting to.
Right, that's what I'm getting to. And also, if we're not allowed to, what would the mechanism be for accomplishing that? And
Exactly.
obviously, it would be a project.
So
permit.
I will second that. Can we have a third so we can have? a report from that?
what about just getting us a white paper of all the, whether we can or
I think
all the
that's a bit of a
facts, and then we
distinction
decide
without
whether it's
diff-
agendized.
It's a bit of a distinction without much of a difference.
No, because we get all the information without having to take up a council meeting and official city business. We get the information without doing that. And then if it's something that we can do, then we agendize it.
No, I have no problem.
Okay.
This is a issue of public significance. I think it would be a
I
good
would like
idea
to
to have it
discuss,
come
I
back
would
to the
like to
council.
discuss it in public.
I'll vote for that as well.
And if I could just interject here, the item that is before you is a grant that we are applying for with the California Coastal Commission, and it is specifically to accomplish two things. One, ongoing annual shoreline monitoring to track the changes in the shoreline, and two, to perform a feasibility study, site-specific for San Clemente's coast. So based on our unique site conditions, we can determine what will work to retain sand and add sand on our beaches.
I understand that, and I think there's a sufficient nexus to justify
So
the
just
additional
to get
analysis.
for definitive guidance to staff on what we want, Councilmember Noblock, could you repeat exactly what you want?
I'd like staff to prepare a white paper on our authority to, one, grant a permit dealing with offshore sand movement, and two, if we don't have that authority, what would be necessary to accomplish that?
I'll second that.
And with that, we need a
Yes, and I'll agree with that. I think
first staff.
what Councilmember Noblock is getting at is we have this federal sand replenishment project going, which we still hope will move forward, but he'd like to explore what authority the city has on its own to potentially do that. And this feasibility study will bear out where that might be best done, how that may be best done in terms of replenishment, but he's getting at that fundamental issue of, do we even have the authority to do this, should we want to? So I'll agree with that.
City manager, you have guidance?
Totally clear
And
guidance.
with that,
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move the item Q for approval.
I'll second.
And I'm the third.
You do need to read the title. That's a
we're good.
resolution.
Approved.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this. You want to read
This is
the-
to approve the staff recommendation, adopt the
I move
resolution.
the staff recommendation item Q.
Yes,
I'll-
you just
I'll-
need,
you
you
have
need
to read
to read the
You want-
title.
Go ahead and read
I'll read it.
Okay.
Move that we adopt resolution number 22-05 entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of San Clemente, California, authorizing submittal of an application to the California Coastal Commission for a local coastal permit grant to support coastal resiliency plan implementation."
Second.
Okay. Councilmember Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Aye.
and Mayor James.
All right.
Carries 5-0. Moving on to unfinished business. First item is report from the Beaches, Parks, and Recreation Director concerning municipal golf course hole number 16 blue tees. And whenever you're ready for them, we do have some cards.
Should we? We're going to take the cards first?
Yeah.
Or Staff
Okay.
report.
Go ahead, Samantha. Give us your report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of the City Council. Samantha Wiley, Beaches Parks and Recreation Director. The item before the council tonight is a return item regarding the Hole 16 blue tee box. Council took action to close the tee box while there was also staff action to mitigate some of the errant ball problems and the misuse of that tee box as it stood prior to December. The tee box has been reconstructed. There are photos in the attachment of the staff report. So you can see that the golf course maintenance staff have done a terrific job of kind of filling in the right side of the tee box. They've put some mulch down, some low ground cover with a bench that really eliminates anybody's ability to tee off from that side of the tee box. The golf course committee did review this item as well at its last meeting, and they did make a recommendation to the city council to plant an additional tree near the existing stone pine that's on the left side of the tee box. And again, in the attachments, it gives some depiction of where that tree is to be placed. This does come at an additional cost of $25,000. And if council chooses to move forward with that, we expect a tree to be planted in the next 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the ability to get the tree and also labor scheduling as well. So I'm happy to take any questions if there are any at this point. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Any questions? Councilmember Ferguson,
No, I'm good.
Councilmember Noblock.
I just want to confirm, and I've discussed this with Eric, but if you could maybe expand a little bit. My concern was that a tree, you didn't mention a mature tree, but oftentimes trees that aren't that mature, you can blow right through them if you're driving a few yards from them. Is this tree really going to get the job done to keep these high projectile missiles from hitting the homes?
Is staff opinion, yes. The maturity of the tree that we're buying is going to be a significantly mature tree, much larger than what the previous discussion with trees was. And so myself walking the hole realized that it would need to have a big tree in order to be that deterrent. And I do believe that staff have met that goal with this recommendation.
And what's the time frame on actually planting that tree?
It's about 4 to 6 weeks, depending on availability of the tree. And then, of course, it does require a crane and some other things. So we have to schedule that logistics, but it should be completed within 4 to 6 weeks.
My concern was that we don't adjust the tees until that tree is actually planted.
I agree.
I
We're
agree.
both gonna get mail on that, but
Well, that should be under discussion. We haven't had public comment yet.
Ready?
Um,
Okay.
Are we still in questions?
yes, go
So
ahead.
how does the cost of this tree, Samantha, compare to the cost of a potential netting project?
Great question. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Staff estimates the cost of netting or fencing to be upwards of $75,000. When we talk about netting, we're talking about a pretty substantial height of netting. And also because of the height, it's going to have to go deeper into the ground. Based on what we've learned in our recent netting project, even at Jim Johnson, that the cost of that project was significantly higher than anticipated, mainly because of the cost of steel, which has increased significantly, but also you've got to get some footing that's pretty deep into the ground. And given that this isn't a canyon, there's going to be some challenging logistics to put a net or fencing in that area, again, with the crane and all sorts of other items that would have to be pulled. The other element of this, and it's briefly mentioned in the staff report, but a netting company or a fencing company would also most likely require a trajectory report in this instance, and those can cost anywhere between $4,000 and $5,000. And that report is standard for golf course netting projects when somebody comes out and bids on a golf course.
One last question related to that. As we saw with the Jim Johnson netting project, it's taken also significantly longer to get the project going due to staffing shortages for these companies and materials and so forth. Would you anticipate a long delay in being able to install netting on the 16th tee box as well?
Yeah, my best estimate, again, based on the Jim Johnson project, is it could take anywhere, because we'd have to go out to bid and do that RFP process. My estimate would be for completion of a net is 9 to 12 months from this point in time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Ward,
No, I don't have any questions.
I will note that I made a error earlier. I allowed Chad and JT to comment during oral communications. We should have kept them here until now for comments. So my apologies on that. I have no questions.
Whoever knows exactly what they're going to talk about anyway.
Although that was exactly
Honestly.
what they talked about the last time.
Right. Okay,
Ready? Okay. So the first three speakers will be Stephen Rose, John Martin, and Kent Edwards.
Hi, everybody. My name is Stephen Rose. I'm San Clemente resident. I'm also the secretary for the San Clemente Men's Golf Club, which has over 800 members. I appreciate the opportunity to address you all today. For those of you who are not intimately aware of hole 16, it's a severe dogleg left. It's a long hole from the back tees or the blue tees. So it goes out straight, and then there's a bunch of trees, and then it goes very hard left. So the blue tees or the back tees are intended for the longer hitters. Currently, what happens when you hit from that tee box is you're hitting out straight and you cannot reach the 17th fairway. If you do happen to reach it, which I don't think I've ever seen, the ball will definitely be rolling by that point. So one of the issues that closing the 16th tee box is that you have unintended consequences of having the longer hitters hit from the white tees or shorter tee box. They're now on the corner of the dog leg or on the L, and they're now hitting straight towards the green, which has a result of any stray balls now going directly onto the 17th fairway, which was not in play before. So in the board's opinion, the men's club board, there are good solutions and bad solutions. One good solution has already been taken care of in terms of our opinion. That is closing the right side of the back tee box. What impact does that have? Well, if you're golfing and you have a chance to cut over here, if you take away this side, which now has that angle, that's all been taken out. Now you're forced to go straight ahead. Another issue is that the case law and legal precedent from the research I've done seems to be clear that homeowners on a golf course or adjacent to property on a golf course assume the risk of that ownership and balls potentially hitting that house. So I think what we have now is a situation where the longer hitters are routinely hitting into the 17th fairway, and that risk now transfers to the city or the owners of the course, because now balls are flying directly at the golfers. So we recommend reopening that tee box as early as possible in order to mitigate that risk.
Thank you, sir.
Potentially, one other solution would be taking one of the 407 trees for the park and reducing that to 406 and planting that on the side of the tee box. Again, because if I'm hitting straight out here and we have a big tree here, it does potentially block those errant shots. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, John Martin, Crespi resident. This is an email from the San Clemente Men's Club Golf Club that was sent to the membership earlier today, and the subject is the blue tee of our 16th hole. From it, I quote, "Suffice it to say that one new homeowner has raised a stink about the occasional misguided golf ball banging off his golf course view home, and has now rallied some of his neighbors to fool one or more of the city council members into closing the blue tee on the 16th. One new homeowner, rubbish. We've lived on that street for 32 years and in our home for 25 years. Secondly, not we or any of our neighbors have asked for that tee box to be permanently closed." Slide 2, please. I recently spoke with a golf course architect, and the minimum fairway width for a residential course with private property bordering the course is 400 feet or 133 yards. That means the center line of a fairway is 67 yards just to a property line. I'm going to continue with one other quote from this email. The city has agreed to plant a large Italian stone pine to the left of the tee to prevent players from trying to bust a drive down the canyon and go for the green. Slide 3, please. That verbiage, bust a drive down the canyon, is important insight into the mindset of the men's club. When people bust a drive down the canyon, they hit a ball 170 miles an hour over our property and anywhere from 15 to 30 yards from our house. That is not the way the course was designed. The men's club and the course manager have ignored complaints from many of the Crespi residents for years, and their negligence and unwillingness to address this problem have actually encouraged cutting the canyon. The term errant has been used in this matter, and that is a flat out lie. The definition of errant is straying outside the proper path or bounds. Cutting the canyon is an intentional decision not to play the course as it was designed. That endangers both lives and property. Slide 4, please. Saying occasional misguided is rubbish. Slide 5, please. Just the glass damage to 8 Crespi homes. Martin, 1 sliding glass door shattered and a broken window. Erickson, 3 broken windows. Rodarte, 2 broken glass deck panels. Not Nuras. Broken window and a sliding door was open and a ball was actually hit into their living room. Pouch, 7 broken windows and a ball hit through an open window. Balti, our 88-year young neighbor who's lived on the street the longest. 8 broken glass deck panels, a broken window, a broken glass tabletop on her deck, and 3 skylights. This is only glass damage, not the golf balls off our roofs or stucco, or even the damage to cars on the street side of our homes. The blue tees are meant for lower handicap, better players, and you cannot tell me that a 25 handicapper that can hit it a mile won't try cutting the canyon with disregard for people or their property. Hey, San Clemente Men's Golf Club, slide 6, please. You can't even, this shot was from Sunday, February 13th. You can't even keep people from teeing off from a closed tee box, much less hooking golf balls into our home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken Edwards.
Yeah, hi, my name's Kent Edwards, 40-year resident of San Clemente, lifetime golfer, proudly called San Clemente Municipal my home course for all 40 years I've lived here. We have a gym. San Clemente Municipal is a gym in this great city of ours. Designed one of the renowned architects, golf architects of the early 1900s into the mid 1900s, Bill Bell. Designed Torrey Pines Golf Course, Camp Pendleton Golf Course, Satakoy Country Club, Sandpiper. These are all classic Southern California golf courses. San Clemente was designed by him. The 16th hole from the blue tees is a great golf course. It's a defining hole on our golf course. While I empathize with the neighbors that live next to the golf course, they moved next to a golf course that was built years before their homes were built. It's not a new design. The 16th tee is not a new design. At one point I wanted, for those of you that don't play the game of golf, there are golfers that can hit the ball, as he said, a mile. I mean, literally, it's a 310 to 320 yard carry to get to the green from the 16th tee boxes. That is a long way. There are very few people that can hit the ball 310 to 320 yards. Very few. There are very few that try it. I've been aiming to the right of the trees in the canyon for years. As Mr. Rose said, 90%, almost all of us aim for the right of the canyon. Very few people try to hit it over the canyon to the left. So an occasional ball, again, I empathize with them getting struck, their house getting struck, but it's got to be a very errant ball for someone that's a very low handicap hitter that can hit the ball a long way to get there. I think that the compromise of planting a tree to prevent the low handicap hitters from taking that angle it's a compromise. Personally, I don't think it's necessary, but I think it's a great compromise. And I was very disappointed to find out that the council had decided to unilaterally move the tee boxes until the solution's fixed. I'm asking you to move those tee boxes back as soon as possible and get our course the way it should be. Thank you.
Kevin Rose,
I have no right
followed
to
by,
speak, but I also have a right to not listen to the profanities that's coming from this gentleman right here. Thank you.
Kevin Rose, followed by Andrew Macbeth.
I don't, council members, Mayor James, Kevin Rose, 47 years, San Clemente resident, 47 years playing golf at the Muni, 47 years, never hit a house. I'm a fairly decent golfer, not the best golfer out there. I've literally played that golf course for 47 years. I've never hit a house on the left side. The gentleman with the slides, what he didn't show you was the trees that he cut down that were, I assume, blocking his view, which protected his home. As I stated, I live on the golf course. When I bought my home on the golf course, I assumed the risk of living on a golf course. I've been hit by golf balls. My home has been hit. What I did is put my own tree in and to protect my house. Did it protect my house fully? No, it didn't. I've still been hit. But what I didn't do is try and redesign a golf course that was designed in 1930 and been here since 1930. This gentleman and these other folks that have bought their houses or built their houses, built them in the 70s. You have to assume the risk of potentially being hit by a golf ball if you build a home on a golf course. It would be like going to live on the beach and hoping the birds don't do their thing on your house. It's just part of the deal. You want the view of the golf course, you want to live on a golf course, there's a chance that you may be hit by a golf ball. The 16th hole is a make or break hole for tournaments, for match play. That is kind of like our amen corner. For the better players, you hit from the blue tees, that hole will either make or break a round. So it's absolutely imperative that that hole remains the way it was designed. Again, if he's been hit by golf balls, great. What I hear him say is this glass window, that window, that furniture, but I don't see any backup. So I can come up here and say, gosh, those homes have never been hit. Does that make sense? No. Let's see some backup. If your house has been hit and windows broken, where are the receipts? Where's the backup? So come up here and you want the hole closed. You want to take some pictures. This gentleman, we see him all the time up there taking pictures. I don't know if he's just a rabble rouser or just trying to create problems, but I'm here hoping that you'll appropriate the funds to plant the tree and hopefully eliminate a golf ball or two from hitting his home. I don't believe that he's been hit as many times as he says. We played the hole, all of us here, all of the people here. I don't think anybody here can stand up and say, I've hit one of those houses over there. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. I haven't seen it happen, but I don't think it's happening as often as what they're claiming. And I appreciate your listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Andrew Macbeth.
Hello, council. Andrew Macbeth, city resident for over 25 years. Just want to continue with that sentiment of moving the blue T markers back to the original box. I think a couple good points that were brought up about the changing of the angle and how that affects the 17th people walking up 17. That is a major issue. Also, having a change to a course like this based upon a couple or several complaints is a dangerous path because there's houses all around the course. And if we start trying to make changes and modifications, they're all going to come out of the woodwork and want to make their own individual modifications to a course that's been there since what, 1929? 1930, thank you. So just tread lightly with the decisions that you feel you want to make to this, that's going to have a great impact. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That concludes the remarks. Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Oh, thanks, Mayor James. Thanks for the speakers tonight. It's listening to all of you. I just want to know that you all to know that I have gone and met with several of the homeowners on the street, Crespi. it's unfortunate. There has been not just the errant balls, but a lot of balls that have flown their way. And one woman had buckets of balls. So it does happen more frequently than what you have witnessed. And it'd be one thing if they bought their home on a golf course, and some of the sentiments expressed tonight would, in my opinion, be valid, but they didn't. So they don't live on a golf course. They live away from a golf course, divided by a wide ravine. So I believe this to be a safety matter that needs to be addressed, which is why I supported in the interim closing the 16 tee box. I have walked the course. I've watched golfers. I walked the course with another homeowner there for about an hour and a half. So I did see what happens. And there's been close calls, of course, people in their house almost hit in the head. They've gone through the windows of living rooms, kitchens. So I have seen it. It does happen. So I want to address it. And I do want to make sure that we put in the proper mitigation, which I believe this tree, according to staff, will do the trick. But I would like to have staff circle back with the homeowners that live on Crespi that have been affected for many years after, say, a 30-day period, to make sure that this mitigation measure has remedied the safety concerns that they've been expressing for some time. Thank you.
Mr. Noble,
No comments.
Councilmember Ward.
I have a few comments. I heard the words from one of the homeowners that saying the city's been negligent, that we've actually, by our negligence, have encouraged people to play the tee box and shoot the canyon. I would caution all the council that we should not be accepting of that. And I think by trying to micromanage the golf course and how we have done it recently, in the face of some of the comments that we've heard, we are taking on the liability and the responsibility. Then we should not be. I almost moved to a golf course and I was told right then by the realtor that I was accepting anything that happened, and that if I wanted to put up a net, I could. And I would submit that anyone on this course could put up a net if they'd like to, and they could plant some trees. I was for originally, I just want to remind you, planting the trees, because I thought that was a good course of what we should do. The blue tee has already been moved. I think the mitigation has been done. We are going to plant a tree. It's going to take several weeks, but we're planting a significant tree, $25,000. That's a good sized tree. We will plant more if we end up where we have to do that. But with the blue tee moved, I think that we should open it up. We cannot micromanage the golf course. It's been there since 1930. I heard from Mr. Martin the last time, he was still talking about the one golf ball that came through. We can't keep doing that and holding up the golf course. There's unintended consequences. We're hitting people that are on the 17th fairway. The balls are going there. There's unintended consequences of trying to change a design that has worked for all these years. So I would submit and make the motion that we accept what staff's going to do, planting the tree, but that we open the blue tees.
Can you hold off in your motion until we get all the comments?
You're right, but I just want to make that motion that that's what I think that we should do. And I welcome any comments.
I have also visited the residents there on Crespi. Thank you for showing me around, taking me down on the course. That was very educational to see it from your vantage point. I do think that technology and in terms of the clubs and the balls has led to more length. Unfortunately, not for me so much, but that is a factor that I think we do need to be cognizant of. And I certainly feel for the folks on Crespi, and I support this project. I do agree with Councilmember Ward, though, that I'd like to see us get that 16th hole opened and take other measures in the interim and until we get that tree, so that we can get the course played as it is intended to be played as soon as possible.
What would be your recommendation for an interim measure?
You said other measures.
Yeah, I leave that to the experts, but if we need the marshals to go to that hole more often and monitor it, if we need larger signs, if we need penalties for folks who are caught trying to shoot the canyon. I mean, I'm all for all of that. And certainly I would like to see that tree planted as soon as possible, but
So I would agree with that. I think that's reasonable. I don't know, what is it called that we have on our golf course? The people that give citations on play.
We have
Marshals?
marshals, correct.
Okay.
So
So I would agree. We know it's an issue, but with the T, if the T was open, then we would be closely monitoring what's going on. I
I'd
would
like
agree
to
with
see
that.
us take any and all measures that we have to take to protect those homeowners, but keep that, to keep the blue tee box as it is intended to be played.
I'll accept that.
Are you suggesting opening it tomorrow?
It should be open.
I
Oh,
mean, again, that's why we have the golf course committee and we have Samantha, but I would like to see us open it as soon as possible with any additional measures that we can feasibly do to protect the homeowners from having errant balls in their.
Councilmember Noblock.
Yeah, the safety is important. It's crucial. But we've taken a number of steps over the years and put up netting here and there through the course to protect property. I think this is one of those issues. I'm in favor of planting the tree and I could support that. I think we ought to plant the tree and let that tree get planted and established before we do anything with the T markers. I'd like to see the tree planted first and see the effect of that before we open the.
Well, we're not going to know the effect until we open it.
Well, at least until we plant the tree.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's where I am. Ms. Wiley, how quickly can you get a tree in?
We've had one sourced already. If council approves the installation of a tree, we will make a call tomorrow, immediately first thing, to our company to get that tree purchased and moving forward. So I would estimate between 4 to 6 weeks for install.
it's quite a bit of time when I don't believe any other golf ball has broken anything since we've had any complaint.
Well-
And we've moved the tee. That was the goal. We moved the tee. So we've mitigated the problem and we're going to do extra to plant the tree. So
Right.
I'm
I
not
thi- I
seeing
think
that why we cannot open the blue tee.
What
box. I just
Councilmember,
can't, I don't see it.
Ward is saying is we already closed off that side. Yes, anyone can go anywhere and tee off. That's always going to be an issue. But we have taken other measures to move the tee box closer to the side so that the angle is not there to shoot the canyon.
I could
Side on.
I could get behind opening that tee box if we place a marshal there to ensure no one cuts that corner.
On a full-time basis or regular?
Samantha, is that
feasible?
We certainly can try to get our marshal scheduled on if it's from start to finish all day. We will work to get marshals scheduled. If I can't get marshals, we certainly have other part-time hourly staff that we may be able to bring in. If it's just having a city staff presence at the tee box, if that's helpful, I can certainly get staff together.
I could get behind it because I have seen the damage. I've seen the broken glass. I've seen the multiple golf balls in the yards. And it's just not Mr. Martin that I've spoken with. I've spoken with others on that street. It's a general concern on that street. And we can have the debate all day long on whether they bought on a golf course or they bought on a ravine adjacent to the golf course. I just wish we could all, to quote Rodney King, I just wish we could all get along on this.
I think we are. I think we're actually in a good place. If we did that, I think staff could get, like maybe we could require for a while until we get this tree and it's going, that when there's a tournament that they have a volunteer that watches that tee, things like that. But I don't know if in regular play, we need someone to sit it there. But if you're willing, if you want to have that, I mean, it just seems like we're
That's what-
babysitting the tee. And I'm not sure we need to.
Well, I think
With that
we
change.
may need to, because actually I do think I've seen all the balls. I think actually people are still shooting that canyon and will continue to do so. Again, it's late in the course. couple beers down, judgment not there maybe. And so it's going to happen. So yeah, I mean, I think we need to take all available measures. And if that means some kind of personnel there, then we should do that in the interim before the tree gets.
But
right.
I will tell you that Ms. Wiley, I don't want to put you on the spot here. I just don't understand the 4 to 6 week thing. If we buy the tree tomorrow, why can't we have it this weekend? I mean, I know that's a stretch, but why does it take 4 to 6 weeks to get a tree?
We'll work on getting it sooner. I think that's absolutely doable. That was the estimate that we received when we were looking at this. But knowing that it's an urgent matter, I think staff have a good enough relationship with the tree company to try to push that forward. And hopefully it could be done sooner than that, given the urgency.
That's what's going to get me to a vote to because I think we're going to have a separate motion here this evening. What's going to get me to a vote to open that tee box is constant monitoring until there's a tree there.
Samantha, can we have a member of the grounds committee that monitors that tee box? In order to get the vote here to open that tee, can we do that for now until we have better education and things start?
If I may,
going
Mayor,
better?
what we would do is we would shoot for marshals, because that's the resource that we have in terms of dedicating a marshal to that spot. If we couldn't get consistent staffing with the marshal, we would look at some inexpensive part-time options as it relates to rec staff. We can definitely reach out to the golf committee to see if there's any volunteers as well. But I think also, and I think Samantha already echoed this, we can definitely get on the horn tomorrow to expedite an acquisition of a tree sooner than later.
Because that 25-foot tree exists somewhere today. 35-foot tree exists somewhere today. It's not like it's going to grow 6 weeks.
Right. I think it's also the crane, getting the crane organized and things like that, the logistics, but yeah.
And how long will it take, city manager, to have this remedy for a staffing remedy? Like, when would you know?
Well, I think we can work tonight to have some staff there tomorrow, if that was the will of the council, with regards to that, as we also work to look at part-time options as well, in case there's gaps with marshals.
Okay, because we're talking a
So
4 to
when we're
6 week
talking-
period to do this, but when you were directed in December to close the tee box, it was open for a month. So I'm just really, I need to be 100% certain if I support this tonight, that that's going to be a priority and it'll be followed through on ASAP tomorrow.
And I will add, if we cannot follow through ASAP tomorrow, we won't open the blue tee box tomorrow until we can have staff to monitor it.
Okay, thank you.
I think the direction's clear.
I think it's clear.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the planting of the 35-foot pine tree at the best location possible to divert balls onto where they should be located. And that we have monitoring.
Constant monitoring.
Constant monitoring. And if it's not constant monitoring, well, if that's the condition of constant monitoring, I'll add that to my motion.
But the
Plant
blue tee
plant the
box is
tree
open.
With constant monitoring to keep the tees at the right location.
Can I have a second?
Second.
I would like to see that the blue tee box is open. That wasn't in your direction, that we open it if we have the constant monitoring.
Right.
Wasn't part of this.
Yeah.
No, that's.
Sorry,
good
that
point.
was understood. but
That
yeah.
was understood, but that's a good
Right.
point for the record.
Does that motion include supplemental appropriation, 25,000?
Yes. Approve a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $25,000 to golf course maintenance account number 056-661-43426, maintenance of trees for the purchase and installation of a tree on the blue tees at hole number 16.
Was that, what's that?
He just read it for
That
the
was in
record.
addition to your,
Yeah,
that
just
was
read-
clarifying your
It
motion.
was
Okay.
just clarifying your motion.
Okay, I'll add one additional thing to that if I could. And I'd like to hear back from staff or from the golf committee at our next meeting on the status of that marshaling. So I'd add that to my motion.
Who
City
seconded
manager,
that?
is that,
I second.
Absolutely.
is that direction clear?
Absolutely. I can report it under city manager comments and provide updates if that's okay. Perfect. Thank you.
City clerk.
Okay, and who seconded that?
Duncan.
Okay. Councilmember Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Aye.
and Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 5-0.
And before we go any further, I want to recognize the men's club on there. I know this is an evening with some controversy, but no one can find this controversial. The men's club made a donation of a clock tower. And I just want to personally recognize them this evening and thank them for the clock tower that they donated to the city. Thank you very much.
Okay. Next item is report from the Public Works Director, City Engineer, concerning a traffic analysis for Via San Gorgonio. And I have some speaker cards when you're ready for them.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, the first 3 speakers on this item will be Michael Johnson, Ruth, no last name provided, and Olga Resnick. Yes. Let me read those again. Michael Johnson, followed by Ruth, no last name provided, and Olga Resnick.
Well, I'm Michael Johnson. I live on a golf course. I've had 32 broken windows. The golf course moved the tee. And also, I just assumed that I love where I live and I'm not complaining. But I wrote something to read about Gorgonio Park. I'm a 46-year resident in Shore Cliffs on Avenida Vaquero. And I'm speaking tonight concerning the proposed changes to San Gorgonio Park located on Via San Gorgonio in Shore Cliffs. Changes to increase activities at the park will result in increased traffic in the area, bicycle, foot, vehicle, and skateboard traffic, and more. The park entrance is at the top of a steep hill. Leaving the park and going down that hill brings you to Avenida Vaquero and a blind left turn. Those familiar don't come down that hill unless you're turning right. You can come down Vista Torito to a much safer turn spot on Vaquero. Traffic on Vaquero is fast, though it's posted at 30 miles an hour. When bicycle lanes were placed on Vaquero, Mr. Vonnegut told us there were 6,500 cars every day on Vaquero, and that was years ago. Across Vaquero from Via San Gorgonio is Shore Cliffs Golf Course and all the golfers' cars. A senior living facility is being constructed there, so residents, employees, visitors, and delivery trucks will increase traffic too. Parking at the park is limited. Accidents at the bottom of the hill aren't a problem because nobody comes down that hill unless they're turning right. Poor visibility, very poor visibility at that left turn. Maybe a right turn only sign is indicated. I'm aware that the park lights and noise are issues for the close neighbors of the park. You can hear pickleball hits and hollers at the DMV a long way down that street. So that situation should be corrected in a residential area. So please be aware of the traffic concerns when considering changes at the park that will increase traffic. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's hard to do this when you don't have the staff report first, but I guess
Can
that's what
we just, are we showing license plates? Is that allowed? City Attorney?
Yeah, if they're in the public view,
Okay,
yes.
all right, go ahead, please.
I have laryngitis, so I recorded.
November 2nd, 2021, Council Member Ms. Ferguson agendized the city analyze the situation regarding the traffic and pedestrian vehicle concerns on Via San Gorgonio. Please help me understand how painting a 4-inch white line 8 feet from the curbs will reduce the amount of traffic caused by the current usage at San G, reduce overflow parking caused by the current usage at San G, and improve pedestrian safety caused by the current usage at San G. Mr. Bakuda, a sitting member on the city's safety commission, has met with me during one of the overflow weekends and opined that my concerns are valid. Why is it so difficult for the city to recognize and admit that Via San Gorgonio does not have the infrastructure to accommodate the amount of activities the city has at San G Park? What other residential street with no sidewalk has a 70% increase in traffic due to a city park? It is time to reduce traffic-inducing amenities and activities at San G, not add more, like lighted pickleball courts, skateboarding feature, and many more. By the way, I find it extremely troubling that staff recommends adding any type of skateboarding feature to San G. The city has to know that Via San Gorgonio has a 14% grade and skateboarders have no choice but to traverse the street in the middle of the street. It is not that anyone wants San G to themselves. It is that everyone in this city has an equal right to the same quality of life as provided by law in Civil Code 3480. Yet the residents surrounding San G are the ones that are suffering from noise pollution, light pollution, and traffic pollution. The city has many parks that it can add amenities to that do not negatively impact a residential street. Mayor James, your analysis of San G was spot on. San G is a tremendous asset to the city, but it does not have the infrastructure to maximize its potential. I find it highly offensive that Council Member Ms. Ward accused residents of wanting San G for themselves. Ms. Ward and Council, Shorecliff residents want and are legally entitled to the same quality of life that you have. The city's management of San G has taken that right away. It's time the city rectify this.
And all those cars had families with children exiting those cars, walking down the middle of the street twice to get to the park and get back to their cars. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, can you caution, this item only before us is parking traffic measures, and all the comments have been about most of it about what's in the park. It's very difficult, it's nuanced, but it has to be, they have to focus on what we're talking about tonight.
I think there's a proper nexus between what goes on at the.
They're
park
going
and the
too
park
far
and what
on it.
Relates to it.
I think we should allow it at this time.
Yes.
Go ahead, ma'am.
The city agenda packet for February 15 states adequate parking spaces are available on site and within the remainder of the neighborhood, as confirmed by several field visits conducted by staff during busy hours of the park. That's end of quote. Via San Gorgonio is not wide enough to accommodate the increased traffic and the parking along the park slope, which doesn't even have a pedestrian walk right now. So the street is very narrow and we don't have a pedestrian walk on the slope of the park. And if you park like both ways, there is no like for the traffic to be safely accommodated. I urge the city to plan for the increase in the future traffic due to addition of amenities to the park and include more parking spaces inside the park, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next speakers will be, let's see, one person wants to read for Susan Brewer, Diana Bojarski, followed by Susan DiStefano.
Hello, council members. Maintaining a safe and healthy atmosphere in which to live, work, and play. The city's priority is to maintain a safe, healthy atmosphere in which to live. Short Cliffs residents' safety and health are being negatively impacted by noise, traffic, parking, and pedestrians adjacent to private homes. Our quality of life in our homes supersedes optional supporting pursuits. This is ensured by California Civil Code Public Nuisance Ordinance 3480. The proposed skate park feature will increase all the negative impacts. Please do not install a skate feature of a much more suitable location is Richard Steed Park. Please do not remove natural areas for hard paved surfaces. Our natural areas are the beauty and enjoyment of the park. The city's agenda packet for February the 15th states adequate parking spaces are available on site and within the remainder of the neighborhood as confirmed by several field visits conducted by staff during busy hours of the park. Neighborhood parking is included in necessary spaces for park activity. Residents are regularly impacted by the public parking in front of their homes and pedestrians in close vicinity of their homes. This is obviously a security concern. No one is comfortable with public activity regularly conducted in their front yards. Does any other park include residential parking as necessary recreational parking? Why should a residential area provide parking for a public park? Why was the San Gorgonio traffic survey completed on a day when only one sports activity was scheduled? Regularly scheduled activities occupy all fields and courts simultaneously. The high volume activity produces high noise levels, intense traffic and parking issues, along with hazardous pedestrian situations. Sincerely, Susan Brewer, Short Cliffs resident.
Thank you.
And then I have one more minute. This is another comment from another resident. First, I want to thank you for recognizing the popularity and growth of pickleball in our community and for responding with the fast tracking the development of 16 courts at Steed Park. Thank you for also recognizing the noise issues of our neighbors by approving sound barrier screens, the courts at San Gorgonio Park while Steed courts are being built. The sooner the sound barrier screens are installed, the better for all of us. Would you please share the time frame for having these screens installed? I'm concerned that the traffic study and traffic abatement recommendations at San Gorgonio Park are insufficient for the park for the problems we experience on that street. The schedule of back-to-back baseball and soccer games has turned the street into a very hazardous situation. Games need to be spaced with at least 1 hour turnover buffer in between. If we want to walk up to the park, we must dodge numerous cars hunting for a free space on San Gorgonio and the surrounding streets. I have witnessed people having 2 park streets away and they carry portable chairs and coolers while their little ones run up the center of the street with their parents yelling at the child and the oncoming cars. Lastly, I would encourage you not to include skate park.
Thank you,
This was
ma'am.
from another resident.
Thank
Her
you.
name's Susan.
Very much.
Next speaker is Diana Bajarski, followed by Susan DiStefano, followed by Christy Pittman. It's confusing.
Is the person Landarski not here? I'm Susan DiStefano. I don't see anybody else before me.
Okay. So you're Susan DiStefano?
I am.
Okay, go ahead.
I can go ahead. Thank you for hearing us and being here for us. The area surrounding Sanji Park is very heavily traveled, very dangerous streets and traffic flow. There are no sidewalks, as you've heard, and a lot of dangerous walking in the street. The traffic study that I just got a report on that was done between the second week of November was 540 cars a week go into the entrance of San Gorgonio Park. By the way, that was never released by the city or informed. That happened in November of last year, which is pretty shocking. Based on city description with skateboard features, there should be a limit if the park is ever considered for skateboard or if skateboard features considered. It should be limited to skateboards only, no online skates, no BMX, no motorized vehicles, no scooters, no wheelchairs. I know that sounds strange, but you already encountered an experience at the skateboard park up at Steed Park, which was kind of a joke of the city. It should be no transition features, a street course only with rails, flow bowls and step-ups. And obviously skateboards are pretty negative in our area, residential, because it is so dangerous coming and going to the park. The negatives, of course, will be sound in a residential neighborhood, which you've already instituted pretty much, as you know, the community's feeling. The agenda package states that staff states adequate parking available in the neighborhood. That is absolutely not true. As I've stated many times before, Shorecliffs was compromised in the length of the driveways. We don't have a complete driveway. Illegal to park in our driveway, crosses the sidewalk. So we would not have any parking in front of our house unless you institute resident-only parking. And you can look at the incident at Ole Hansen Elementary School when the GED program was put up there, and what a folly that was to the neighbors. Took them many years to get rid of that parking on the streets where they had no parking at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Christy Pittman, followed by Ray Honeycutt.
Good evening, council. I was happy to see that there has been some city planning regarding the traffic issues on via San Gorgonio. Painting the curbs red in the entrance of San Gorgonio Park will make a big difference for the better. I'd like to be an advocate for the pedestrian traffic. Those of us that walk into San Gorgonio Park use the same path as the vehicles. We walk in the street to the park entrance. To fully embrace the traffic safety issues of via San Gorgonio, there needs to be a sidewalk adjacent to the park. This would keep pedestrians out of the street to further enhance the traffic calming objective. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
My name is Ray Honeycutt. I live on Vista, Cerro, have for 50 years. I agree with basically everything everybody else said about the traffic. My specific concerns about the skateboard proposal in the master plan. I assume that's what's going on. Anyway, we went through this same thing about 20 years ago. And what happened was you built Steed Park, and that alleviated a lot of the kids that used to go up to the skateboard park at San Gorgonio. There's two problems. Number one, it's a nuisance in the neighborhood. Not that all skateboarders are bad by any means. If I was younger, I'd probably be doing it myself. But I live on a downslope right at the bottom of the hill. And often they'll come down, they go in my driveway, go across a little walkway and then down my brick steps. And I've spent some money anyway, that's immaterial, fixing these steps. And other neighbors have had similar situations. The other thing is it's extremely dangerous. Many years ago, a kid was flying down the hill. I was out front. He made a left, he came flying down Vista Cerro, made a left turn as a car was making a right turn to go up Vista Cerro, got hurt and was killed. And I see similar almost occurrences through the years. So I would hope if you're going to put a skate park in somewhere, you would put it in a park that's not on top of the hill where the two main accesses are steep hills. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hey, Clark, how many more cards do we have?
3.
Can they all please line up? I thought that was the last speaker.
No, I'm about to read them.
Go ahead, Steve.
Travis Haiti, followed by Aaron Washington, followed by Anonymous.
Good evening. So this whole proposal is because of what's going on with San G. I live in San Gorgonio. You've added pickleball, 8 courts at 4 people per court, which is 32, let's just say 25 to 30 vehicles. You have baseball, soccer, basketball, and let alone a playground. The increase of traffic is overwhelming. On any given Saturday, it goes from Sanji is just a nightmare. And then you got people walking in the streets. So who's gonna be responsible for somebody getting hit or killed or injured when all you wanna do is put white lines and no sidewalk? I think you guys need to push Steve Park a little faster to alleviate some of these traffic, so take all of our considerations. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Aaron Washington.
Good evening, council. Mayor Pro Tem, council members, Mr. Sun. I'm coming to you as a citizen, not as a commissioner. On Saturday, I was trying to go and see, because I've seen plenty of videos. On Saturday, I went to San G at 10:30. I stayed there till 12. I'm going to stay on the topic of traffic because that's what the agenda is. I got it. What I observed was in the entrance, you got a little shallow speed bump. You got people running late and they're just speeding up the hill. They make that turn, they speed up the hill. When they're leaving, they roll that stop sign or they just don't stop. The cars that are parked there kind of create a blind spot. I've seen that. I saw a couple e-bikes come out of the park, and the e-bikes were people that were playing pickleball, because I watched the pickleball, but I wanted to observe the noise. It wasn't that noisy that morning. The one day that I go there, it was peaceful. It wasn't that bad because you only had 3 soccer games, you had pickleball, you had no baseball going on, you had little kids playing in the park and basketball. So the parking was adequate in the parking lot when I observed it then. When they talked about, let's see, when they say that the parking is adequate, when they said staff observed it when I did, they would think it was because there wasn't that many events going on. So I just wanted to give to you from me, my observations. I'm biased, I don't live there, but I really wanted to go out and get a feel. And when I was talking to some of the people that were in the park, they said, Aaron, this is a bad time, because I didn't see no skateboarders that day. They said, you got to come during the week, you got to come when it's getting later in the day, when people are starting to leave, because they don't want to see that. So I'm just speaking to you, just give you observation that I made. I told Samantha I would go there, and I'm there. That's all, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Glad I could make it tonight to be able to speak today. I am a resident of Via San Gorgonio, right across the street, actually, from the park. And I would like for you to understand what I'm going through as a resident there. We've owned since 2014, and I've seen so many different changes to that park. The lights, the lack of parking, people going in reverse down the driveway of that park, almost hitting people. I saw a child run into traffic. I've got videos that actually show how bad that park is. The parking, there's no place to walk. I have a lady who sat down on a blind corner, had her child that couldn't have been more than 3, sit on the blind corner in the road as she's loading her car, and then picks the child up and puts the child in there. If somebody would have came around that corner at that moment, that child would have been dead. And I saw that, and I have it on video, actually. Then right before that, another lady was walking the opposite way. There's no curb there for her to walk either. She has a child in her arms. Guess what? She's walking in the middle of the road to get to her car on a blind corner. Nowhere for her to walk. The same with us as residents. We used to enjoy that park. We could go there and walk. In the mornings, we'd enjoy our time. I could sit in my pool and enjoy the day. People would enjoy the park. They'd leave. It's not like that anymore. I left this morning to go to a signing this morning for notary. It was before light. The park gates were open. Is that policy for the park gates to be open before light? Because it wasn't even light outside. The park gate was open for anybody to enter at that time. We are residents of Villa San Gorgonio. My blood pressure is through the roof. I was at a critical stage where I almost had to go to the hospital because of the noise, the stress I see of these children. I have children and grandchildren. It's out of control. Something needs to be done before somebody dies. The skateboarding, I'm just going to say one more thing. I have children that skateboard. It's loud, it's obnoxious, and we've already had to suffer through this pickleball. You put a skateboard park in there where we've got the slapping of those skateboards. I know what it sounds like. I have children that ride them. I'm not against it, but that's not a place for it. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
No more speakers.
No more speakers. So staff report?
Yeah, so we have the Department of Public Works Director Kyle Koger, and we also have our traffic engineer Saida to provide a brief presentation to the City Council.
Mayor, council members, Kyle Koger, Public Works Director. Saida is going to prepare a little summary of kind of what we did doing the traffic analysis. One thing I wanted to point out, there was a lot of comments made about uses in the park and change of uses in the park. Saida and I both agree that, you know, when we go through this master plan and if Sanjee's use is going to change, adding more amenities or whatever it is, there needs to be a full-blown traffic analysis done. What we were asked to do is kind of look at the existing conditions, the way the park is as it is now, and to take some counts and do some analysis. And with that being said, I'll let Saida give you a summary.
Good evening, Mayor and council members and City Manager. So after receiving several comments from residents regarding the speeding issue and pedestrian safety issue on Via San Gorgonio, City Council directed the staff under November 2nd meeting to conduct a traffic analysis for Via San Gorgonio. We started our analysis with meeting a local resident in the field to listen to the concerns they have. The main concern was about speeding, going into the park or maybe going out of the park, and also some because of the lack of sidewalk on each side of the street, people are walking in the street. So our mainly focus for this traffic analysis was to analyze and identify the potential improvement as for the traffic calming, including the speed humps. And also we were asked to consider or analyze the potential for putting a pedestrian marked pedestrian crosswalk at the park entrance. So we did the study. For this study, we needed to count traffic volume and speed. We decided to pick the peak period, like when there was a pickleball tournament in the park, including the Saturday, and also we counted the speed during that time. So based on our data and we collected, and based on the city's policy, traffic calming policy, speed hump policy, the data didn't meet the minimum requirements for any traffic calming measures or speed hump. But we decided to, as a kind of neighborhood calming measure, we decided to add edge line because the street is wide enough. We can designate a parking lane on both sides of the street. That will narrow the travel lanes to 24 feet, 12 feet for each direction, and will also help with the pedestrian walking as well. Will improve the safety. So we counted the pedestrian and traffic volume during a high peak hour on a Saturday when there was a tournament going on in the park, and we didn't observe any pedestrian, we only observed a few pedestrian crossing the drive aisle at the park entrance. So, and based on the city's policy for marked crosswalk, we don't recommend adding the marked crosswalk at the entrance as well. So the other thing that we also included in our report is the parking study. We received a request from a resident that the drive aisle to the park entrance is very narrow and it doesn't accommodate 2 cars traveling on both directions. And so we recommend like installing the red curb on the south side of the driveway for about 138 feet, which it is equivalent to the 6 parking spaces, and also 44 feet red curb on north side of the driveway from the curb return to the east, all the way to the, like when there is a marked speed hump on the road. So we also, because of the lack of visibility, because of the line of sight issue, we're recommending 20 feet red curb on each side of the street, north of the curb return and south of the curb return at the park entrance. So I'm available for any questions.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Thanks, Mayor James. I know you indicated that you had went ahead and analyzed one day at the park. What was going on that Saturday? And did you go any additional days?
So we included the 1 week traffic count, including traffic volume and speed count. And
I'm sorry, I was asking what was going on at the park? What activities were going on at the park the one day
Oh,
went to?
okay. Based on the park schedule that we received, there was a tournament for all day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That was only a pickleball tournament.
Okay, so no baseball, no soccer.
No baseball, no.
Okay, that would have been a normal day. So staff didn't get to go out and see an additional observation with all those activities that typically take place?
Actually, we requested the park schedule to see if there is like additional like baseball and pickleball at the same time. But there was nothing in the schedule up to March. So we decided to not do anything, like to repeat anything until there is any like other tournaments in the park.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate you putting this together. I had requested it and appreciate 2 members supporting placing this on the agenda. I just think it would be helpful to have a couple of days observation because the residents there do endure multiple activities on any given day, as you heard tonight, and hundreds of cars and pedestrians walking. In the report, did staff look at any kind of costs, for instance, for a sidewalk? Because I really think it's imperative at this stage that we look at costs for a sidewalk.
Councilmember Ferguson, I actually put some rough figures together, and a sidewalk running from Avenida Vaquero to Calle Torito, it's about 1,400 feet, and I'm estimating maybe $500,000. There is sidewalk on the one side of the road at Via San Gorgonio. There isn't a sidewalk, as you know, on the park side. And so to add that, I'm guessing is around $500,000. There is a pretty good slope on that side. So, we might have to put in some small retaining walls and that type of thing, or maybe we could narrow the road. But anyway, just to answer your question, it's about $500,000.
Okay, no, yeah, I think that's very helpful. Thanks for being prepared to provide that. I think that's really critical here. Major solution for any potential pedestrian accidents there, because it's a ticking time bomb. I mean, I've been gone out there since the residents have brought this to our attention, and it's a park on steroids, really. My kids grew up playing soccer there and baseball, and it was nothing like it is today. I mean, it's just shocking, the numbers of cars and people, yes, walking in the streets. So, and then lastly, the stop sign. I've been out there and our residents have sent us video. People just run that stop sign. They don't even look to the left to see if a car is going to come and hit them. Any input from the sheriff's department, for instance, about possible increase in enforcement there, tickets for the people running the stop signs, because it's just such a hazard.
At the park entrance, you mean?
Yeah, to any consideration of asking the sheriff's department if they
I'll
have
jump in
resources
on this one,
to
Councilmember
come
Ferguson.
and do more enforcement there, because running stop signs, it's such a hazard and it's a pretty big ticket. I looked it up. It's $238 before court fines.
So when this originally came to the city's attention as a concern as it related to traffic safety, I did ask OCSD, as resources were permitted, to monitor that area. And I know Captain Benfield had sent a motor out there on multiple occasions, but did not witness any crimes per se. And I
On the
know that,
weekend.
I don't know when Captain Benfield deployed that, but I know that Captain Benfield's here and he's listening, and as resources are available, he can continue to deploy those resources there to mitigate any potential concerns.
Captain
Okay.
Benfield, what day of the week did your motor go out there? Do you know that off the top of your head?
I don't, I can say the motor does not work on the weekend.
That's what I thought.
If you were to put a traffic car out there, it would create a disruption for the traffic trying to get in and out of the park. And the second half of that is police cars, clearly obvious, it would stop. The people running outside of the getting enforcement. This is the experience.
Yeah, that would be, so the.
Councilmember Ferguson,
Mhm.
Ferguson, you have
Um,
anything else?
Yeah, just one. Thanks. One more question of staff, and I'm not sure who could answer this, but a resident wrote in and noticed one day that the traffic was reduced significantly and less people, of course, walking in the streets, and had questioned maybe staff did a different kind of programming that day, maybe to reduce and reschedule different activities so they weren't all coinciding at one time. And I asked the resident to let me know if a response was provided, but I hadn't heard yet. Do you know if any staff members on tonight could respond if there's been any tweaking of the activities to kind of help mitigate this problem?
So I can speak to that, Councilmember Ferguson. The only mitigation that we've done pursuant to council direction is to no longer issue SCPs at that park. And so the programming modeling has not changed for that park.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks.
I'm sorry, I was writing a note. Did you ask about, city manager, there was a pickleball tournament there?
Not recently. I'm assuming that the reference was when that there was a pickleball tournament some time ago, and then thereafter the council gave direction to no longer issue SCPs for pickleball at
Right.
that park.
So, Mr. Koger, when was that when were you there? Then you saw the pickleball tournament?
I believe that was in early November. Is that right, Seda?
Yeah, there was tournament every day during November, and mostly during the weekend, the Saturday that we counted traffic, there was a big tournament.
Answer. Thank you. Councilmember Newblock.
I just want to say that been to San Gorgonio a number of times to observe and watch and occasionally play. And I think the visibility issue is very important. So I just want to say that I can support the proposed resolution.
Okay. Councilmember Ward.
I would like to thank staff, Mr. Koger and Sadi. I am going to get your last name wrong, so I'm not going to say it. I need to work on that. I appreciate what you've done, and this is normal for us to look at line of sight. And so I'm ready that we should adopt this.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Kyle or Saida, did we consider no parking on that east side of Via San Gorgonio?
We only considered no parking at the curb return, which actually blocked the line of sight for people making right or left from the entrance, from the park entrance. But we didn't need further red curb to north and south.
So, I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, would that limit the parking so significantly that it's not a consideration? Is that why we did not look at further extending no parking to the, I guess, north and south of the entrance, such that you wouldn't have those cars parking where the only way to get out and walk is out in the street?
So that was not the reason. We only look at the safety issues, like considering the line of sight. That will depend on the type of activity in the park, that we look at the parking separately.
Okay. I mean, to me, it is a safety issue if you have, people, their only ingress and egress from the park is out in the street. Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, can I make a comment? That we've heard a lot tonight about walking in the street. The entire west side of the city where I live, there is probably a street, no street has sidewalks all the way through. We have the greatest park, the biggest park in the city is the beach. They all park in our neighborhoods. We all walk in the street and no one is complaining about that because it's the way it is.
Well, yeah.
We can't determine that, you know, there has to be a sidewalk to every park.
Right. No, I get that. I think this is a little bit different. This street is, people drive very fast on this street and it's sort of wide open and available for that. I think that's why we have these painted line markers, perhaps as a traffic calming measure. Question on that. Do we have another area of the city where we have these kind of parking lane markings on a street? Is there another example in the city where we've done this?
The edge line, you mean, to designate parking? Yes, we have edge line in downtown area. I don't remember the name of the street right now, but yes, we have. Like the minimum width for the edge line is 8 feet, and sometimes it's between 8 feet to 9 feet, depends on the width of the road.
And was that successful in slowing traffic in that instance? Do you know?
It's been very helpful in slowing traffic.
Okay.
It may improve the pedestrian safety as well, but definitely narrowing the travel lane is one of the traffic calming tools helping with this speeding.
Right. Okay.
So the only thing I have is I'm going to go back to something Mr. Koger said at the very beginning. And I want to have an understanding that if there were, I don't want to, I'm going to be careful. I don't want to misquote you. So I'm going to paraphrase. If I'm wrong, correct me. You made reference to if there are any more activities at that park, there would need to be, I think you said full-fledged traffic study. Where can you expound on first, correct what I said, it was wrong, and then expand on it, please.
Thank you. No, you're correct. So all I was trying to say is, we have pickleball courts, we have, basketball courts, we have other amenities there. Let's say with this master plan, we were to double those amenities. We're going to double the pickleball courts, add skateboarding park, add more basketball courts. Then we think, yeah, we should definitely do a traffic study because you're probably going to have even more traffic in the area, and we might have to mitigate in other areas. That's the only point I was trying to make with this master plan coming.
And city manager, I hate asking this question, but to relieve some of the parking that's happening on the street and creating issues for the neighbors, is there any possibility that we could take, I hate saying this, but some of the green space and convert it into parking at some future point?
Well, the answer is yes. That would be something that when we visit that park via the site specific plan process, and the site specific plan does recommend adding more parking to the parking lot. So yes, when we visit the design of Sanji through a CIP process, that would be
Go ahead.
That would be something that would be a discussion point for the council as it relates to a potential project.
Thank you.
As a side note to your comment on the traffic analysis, when the master plan moves forward, noise analysis as well as traffic is
Exactly.
very, very important. I know we've discussed that in the past, but I just want to.
Absolutely, and understood.
Okay,
Mayor, are you ready for a motion?
I am ready.
All right. I move that we approve staff recommendation on traffic calming measure on via San Gorgonio. Number 2, prohibit parking on the south side of San Gorgonio Park entrance from the curb return easterly 138 feet. And on the north side from the curb return easterly 44 feet. Prohibit parking on the east side of via San Gorgonio from the northwest curb return of the park entrance northerly 20 feet. And from the southeast curb return of the park entrance southerly 20 feet. adopt resolution number 22-06 entitled a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Clemente, California, amending master plan resolution number 1846, establishing no parking areas on San Gorgonio Park entrance.
Have a second.
I'll second that.
Mayor, may I do a substitute motion, please?
Certainly, you have every right to.
Thank you very much. I'd like to make a substitute motion to include 1,400 feet of sidewalk installation alongside the park for pedestrian safety in the 2022-23 CIP. I'd like to reduce reschedule activity to balance the park use, to reduce congestion immediately, and readjust after the pickleball relocation to Steed Park. And third, I do not wish to remove any parking spaces.
I apologize. I couldn't hear all those comments. Could you speak in the mic a little
I
more?
need to
perhaps?
hear them again.
Let me move my mic a little closer. My substitute motion is to, one, include 1,400 feet of sidewalk installation alongside the park where there is no sidewalk for pedestrian safety in the 2022-23 CIP, Capital Improvement Project Program. Number two, reduce reschedule activities to balance the park use in order to reduce congestion, and do that immediately and readjust after the pickleball is relocated to Steed Park. And number three, do not remove any parking spaces that exist currently. Thank you.
On point three, remove any park spaces on public.
Do
streets
not
or
remo-
within the park.
Both street parking or in the park.
So no line of sight changes
No,
recommended?
No.
For safety?
no.
Okay.
Well, I got a couple of questions on that. The 1,400 feet of sidewalk. It's kind of hard to vote on that if we don't have a price tag on it. I'm not saying I disagree with it. I'm just saying that might be something to bring back at a later time.
Yeah, and Kyle's estimate was about 500,000 for that
That was,
ballpark.
Right.
That's without walls
Yes,
and.
Mayor
please,
James,
sir.
yeah. The other aspect of that is, I think we don't want to do that right until we know what the site specific plan is going to be for the park, because that would be an integral part of any modifications or changes we do at the park. So to your point, while I think it's certainly worth exploring, I think we don't want to do that if we don't know what we're going to be doing with the park. We want to do those in conjunction. Right.
Well, I
You can't
disagree.
change it
I-
on a
that's-
concept.
There aren't activities that are going to go over a slope and into the street. The sidewalk would be absolutely an independent project of that. Anyway, that's my motion, and I
I
appreciate.
have a question on number two, part of that motion.
Oh, yes.
It was reduced scheduling. Could you repeat that?
Yes, there's a lot of activities going on at this time, particularly with the addition of pickleball, which is contributing to the increased traffic and the increased pedestrians in the street, because you've got baseball, you've got soccer, you've got basketball, you've got picnic areas, you've got playground, and you've got pickleball. So I'd like to recommend staff reschedule, rearrange programming so that we can reduce that congestion at this time until we can reevaluate after, of course, the pickleball relocation. But we have to wait for the Steed Park 16 courts to be constructed first before we can relocate pickleball. But that's one of my recommendations.
so city manager and Ms. Wiley, can you comment?
Well, I can speak to the programming. We have limited amounts of reservable space for Little League, softball, AYSO. So if you reduce the programming there, there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. And there's going to be nonprofits, or I should say partners, that will lose field allocation because I don't have enough fields to make all of the partners happy. And I know that we're currently dealing with girls softball with issues of field allocations as well. And so while it would reduce the usage of San G, it would impact other groups for lack of play.
I can't support that motion at this time. Do I have a second on that motion?
I call for the vote on the immediate motion.
So we have on the initial motion, we have motion by Ward, second by Duncan.
Councilmember Ferguson,
No.
Councilmember Noblock,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan.
Aye.
And Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 4-1. Next item is oral communications part 2. I have a card from Susan D. Stefano that says it's about skateboarding at San Gorgonio. I believe she already spoke to that item.
Yeah,
We have,
yeah.
And there's a card from Ruth, no last name provided, to speak about fence. I don't know if that's about San Gorgonio.
December 7th, 2021, Mr. James agendized the city find a quick solution to the annoying as hell noise of pickleball at San G. It's now 10 weeks later and there has been no relief. City council decided that in lieu of closing the pickleball courts until they are built in Steed, the city would spend $35,000 on a noise reducing fence. Despite many phone calls and emails to the city requesting who is responsible for this quick solution, it was not until today that the city replied. It's Randy Little. I reached Mr. Little today. He advised that the city is working with Acoustablock. He states that Acoustablock requested some dimensions, which he provided and has not heard back from them. Since then, the city has done absolutely nothing until yesterday. Perhaps the fact that they had a heads up that I would be bringing this up tonight, they best PYA and do something. I had no problem reaching Acoustablock by phone. Interestingly, they had just received a call from Mr. Little 5 minutes earlier, but due to confidentiality, he could not tell me what was discussed. He did say the materials are in stock, but they have not received an order from the city. Bottom line is the city's actions or lack of them demonstrate that the negative impact pickleball at San G is having on residents is not a priority. This may be partly due to the fact that pickleball ambassadors have been in contact with staff and perhaps some of you stating they are absolutely against this fence. In fact, Marty Weinberg asked me to call staff and tell them to stop with the fence. So apparently, since council already directed them to get this done as soon as possible, it has turned into a delay and stall. So here I am, along with 180 residents from throughout the city who submitted their request that the city provide all residents an equal quality of life as required by law in Civil Code 3480, and also requested that pickleball courts in residential zones be decommissioned immediately. Mayor James, please do not allow our city manager, Mr. Sund, state he doesn't know about pickleball courts available at the Boys and Girls Club like he did on December 23rd. Not only did he know, he had the city arrange for the waiver of fees when SLR pickleball courts were decommissioned in 2019. Please do not allow Ms. Wiley and Mr. Atamian to deceive you regarding the data they had and did not disclose to you, confirming decibel readings of 81 from just 4 pickleball courts at SLR. San Gorgonio has 8. Do whatever is needed for you to overturn your prior vote and lock the pickleball gates at San G until noise reducing fence is installed. This is the only action that will allow all residents an equal quality of life and get the city off its bum.
These are all the 180 plus that we presented to you before of residents throughout the town.
thank you.
Moving on to reports, city manager.
I have nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
I have a couple things for city manager.
Yeah, me too.
I have 3 and they'll go quickly. Update on the planning desk. I don't see any improvements there.
So I have Cecilia Gallardo Daly, who can provide a brief update to the city council as it relates to that question.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Cecilia Gallardo Daly, Community Development Director. As some of you may or may not be aware, we did have some staffing shortages in the middle of last year that caused a delay in permit processing. Our HR team helped to get us back on track in terms of staffing. We've got vacancies filled. Toward the end of the calendar year last year, we were getting caught up on some of those permit backlogs, and we were a couple of weeks behind on processing those permits. When we closed for the furlough and then came back in January, we did have an influx of permit applications in our inbox. We're dealing with a new phenomenon now that people are able to submit permits electronically, that we received about 70 permits over the furlough. And we continue to receive an average of about 20 permits a week after hours. So when we came back from the furlough, that additional sort of influx of permits and some staffing shortages due to COVID put us behind again. But we are on the road to getting caught up. We have a temp who's assisting us in the lobby with phone calls and appointments and routing plans. And then next week, we hope to have a permit technician starting. We have a contract being routed, and that will bring another person into the permit lobby to assist with permit intake, permit routing, and permit issuance. So we hope to be fully caught up by the end of March and up to date on all of the permit submittals, plan routing, and permit issuance.
I'm not going to let, well, thank you, Cecilia, but I'm not going to let this go. I'm going to continue to come back and ask you about this because this is so vitally important. And I understand you've had challenges. We have to overcome those challenges.
We have a contract, don't we, to
Yeah, but
provide
I
additional
think-
staffing? when needed?
We do.
We do, but I think even then, I think we have issues with the contractor with finding resources, right?
That's correct. We have contracts with services that include building inspection, building plan check, and permit technicians. However, we have not been successful with those firms in locating a contract permit technician until very recently, until just a couple of weeks ago.
Very good. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you. The second thing I have is cars and coffee in the outlet mall. I'm getting beat up on, and not the fault of the outlet mall. They're doing everything possible. It's not the fault necessarily of the promoter, although he could have a better social media presence. These cars come out onto Vista or Hermosa or wherever they're going, and they're loud cars and they rev them up, to 4,000, 5,000 RPMs in like second gear. And they're loud, they're noisy. I think it's a safety issue as well. We've got to look at this of, is it viable for them to have a cars and coffee every week? Should it be reduced to once a month? And I'm not sure that would solve our problem either. But we have to get with the promoter, we have to get with the outlet mall, we have to look at the conditional use permit and see if we need to add restrictions to that. Your thoughts, city manager?
So obviously this activity is governed via a conditional use permit that was issued some time ago. It's within the council's purview to call that CUP up, to revisit it based on concerns as you've echoed. So I would just need direction from the council if you would like to pull the CUP up at a future council meeting. I think what I'm hearing is that we'd like to call the CUP up, but before it comes to us, staff, could you meet with the operator to see if they can provide any relief to the concerns that you voiced prior to us discussing the CUP?
Right.
So with that, I just need 3 to give direction to call it up, and we would meet. And then after we've met with them, we would bring it to the city council for discussion.
Should I get support on that?
Yes, I can definitely support that.
And I would also, I think it should be called up, and we need to have a review of that activity along with, the balance of them, but
There are bad actors coming from out of this town and
Out of the
creating-
county.
Out of the county,
Right.
creating quite the nuisance.
And I think it's due time. I mean, just because it's been some time since the council, this council especially, has looked at what the CUP allows for. So not only can you review the cars and coffee scenario, but you can review all of the conditions related to their CUP.
And the third thing, and I'll shut up, is I'm getting a lot of complaints on West Coast arborists. And I've observed some issues with West Coast arborists, and they came in quite aggressive, and they knocked out a local vendor that's been a great vendor to us for a long time. But I'd like to review their performance. I'd like to look at what their costs have been, what their safety standards are. I have people reporting what they consider to be unsafe acts, and I could talk about that offline.
Absolutely. I think it's good. It's good of the council to do a kind of a performance evaluation just to check in on West Coast arborists. We can cover all of those bases as you've communicated. I probably would need a few council meetings before I bring that evaluation back to allow staff to do their due diligence. I just need 3 council members to give me that direction and we can move forward.
Bring it
immediately.
back second meeting in March?
That
First meeting
should
of
be,
April?
that should be second meeting in March with the flexibility of maybe the first meeting in April.
Can I have support on that?
Yes, I'd support that.
Yes, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember
Mayor-
Ferguson.
Thanks, Mayor James. This for the city manager. We had a speaker tonight and you and I, we've communicated a little bit on this, but the noise calming measure that council directed you to purchase, right, and expedite has not been purchased. And a resident tonight had said the company hasn't even had an order yet, but your response to me was that they were too busy. Could you please respond to that?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking the question, Councilmember
Mhm.
Ferguson. Staff has been working with the vendor. However, the vendor has been very difficult to address and communicate the final order. This is a proprietary material, so it's not something that we can just go to Amazon, so to speak, and get. This vendor has it specifically, and so we've been working with that vendor. However, in lieu of that vendor's non-responsiveness, staff have gotten creative and looking at potential other options. I have cautioned staff that, the council approved a product that will reduce the decibel sounds there, and so I want to stick to the goal of the original product. We're also talking to Lifetime Fitness and some other cities that also have similar product to see if we can get information as it relates to that product.
So you are looking at other companies now?
We're looking at other companies and
Good.
other entities to see what
Okay.
options we can get.
Okay, so the company that you did, your staff is working with, we have been working with them, but why would they say that we haven't placed an order? Is it just because we
Because
haven't
we haven't
placed the
placed
order?
an order yet, because we haven't been able to connect with them to finalize the specifications of the order that we want.
Okay, can you provide that information to me of the company whose staff's been working
I
with?
don't know the company's name off the top of my head.
Okay, if you can tomorrow, that'd be great. Just provide the information to me. That would be helpful. Just want to make sure that policy that council is directing is getting implemented. So
Absolutely
thanks.
is, and we'll make sure that you get that information tomorrow, Councilmember
That would be helpful.
Ferguson.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
No, thanks.
Just one item. I just want to report from the Mosquito and Vector Control District that the district is considering partnering with the County of Los Angeles on an X-ray machine to take mosquitoes, zap them so that they're sterile and release them in very, very, very large quantities in our county to reduce the SARS and the other mosquito-borne illnesses. So that's a new product coming online. It's a relatively small machine. It does about 2,000 mosquitoes a minute. And a much larger one will do up to 200,000 mosquitoes in a minute, if you can believe that.
Can-
Mosquito report.
Why not kill them?
Well, the ones you don't kill are still having
Yeah.
babies, and we gotta stop the baby mosquito problem.
One comment, Councilmember Noblock, San Bernardino County tried to do that with mosquitoes by releasing these wasps. And the entire mountain in Lake Arrowhead was just accosted by all the wasps. So I hope you keep up on that,
Sterile mosquitoes can't do much damage, but
No.
I think.
but they still can bite us, is what I'm assuming.
No,
Can
the
you find
males
out about
actually-
that?
The males actually don't. It's the females that do the biting.
Okay. When I hear that they want to release thousands of something,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
unintended
yeah.
consequences
Yeah, I hear you.
sometimes.
Are we on city manager still?
City
Okay.
manager, do you have anything for the
No,
city
I,
manager?
council comments.
I
I
think
have
that
none.
concludes city manager comments.
Okay.
City Attorney,
I have nothing more to report tonight. Thank you.
council members.
Anyone,
I have none.
please?
I do, thanks. Two items. My first one is I'd like to agendize for 2 weeks from now, a couple of budget workshops. If it's one, we can do it in 4 hours. If it's, or 4 or 5 hours. If not, we can break it up into 2. But I'd like to bring back the vital few priorities process and public workshops before we have staff provide us with the budget template for approval. And I'd like to agendize that for the next meeting for us to discuss that. Doesn't need a report, just discuss it, how it's been done in the past. We could better prioritize projects and really cut some waste and really address paying down our debt. Secondly, I'm sorry, do I have
Before
support for
going
that?
further,
Sorry.
City manager, do you understand that direction?
No, I do not.
I don't either in our
So let's-
process.
let's-
We don't have what vital few priorities process anymore. We used to. It's a workshop, so to speak. Public can come and we use whiteboards, and this is how it was in years past, and other cities do it. And we prioritize projects. Okay, what city council wants to prioritize spending for, where they want to suggest cuts, etc. We use dots. And I heard Councilmember Duncan mention that at the last meeting. So you must have seen it at other cities as well, but we used to do it. It was held on a Saturday. It was really long though. So I was thinking it was like a 8 hours on a Saturday, but it gets all the juices flowing and you really start to delve deep into the budget, because what we do get in the budget is we get the budget a week or 2 before the meeting, but it's pretty much done, right? So I wanted to be able to have us have more of a working group to make some, provide some input and prioritize better.
So if I could make some comments,
Mhm.
yes, we did eliminate that process some years back,
Mhm.
based on council member or Mayor Pro Tem Duncan's direction and the council's direction, was a discussion of a strategic planning session for the city council, and staff has been doing research on putting together a strategic planning session for the city council and the executive team. And we have selected a consultant. We've just concluded interviews with 3 different consultants that we had looked at for conducting that strategic planning session. And we are in the midst of beginning to engage that consultant to begin the process of a strategic planning process that would involve all of the city council, the executive team, and it would conclude with a public workshop with the findings of that strategic plan. So I would ask the city council if we could stay that course. That will be something that will be happening before the budget process kicks off, so that we, the city, have the strategic priorities from the council as we put together the budget.
Long as council is actually involved, we have a public workshop at the beginning of formulating.
So I
that.
can speak specifically to the
Yeah, it's
methodology.
really important.
Each of you will be interviewed individually
Okay, oh yeah,
by the consultant, and
Okay.
then the consultant will bring those findings back in a public forum for the council, the public, and the city staff to basically hear.
So
Yeah, public
a
workshop.
workshop are you suggesting a workshop on a Saturday?
this is fine. This is actually going to be fine because it will accomplish the same thing. So I'm fine with that. I've seen that in another city I worked at. So yes.
So this would occur during a regularly scheduled,
No, just it'd be a separate day because it couldn't be at a
This
regular
is, of course, we already
council meeting.
started.
But
No,
no,
it'll
I'm
be-
fine
it'll
with
be
this.
a-
If this is already in motion, I'm good with that. That sounds good. We just
Okay.
we need more input.
So-
That's all.
so you don't need to make a motion?
No, not
you
on
don't
that,
need to
but I
give
have a
direction?
secondary one
Just a
now.
quick
I didn't know that was
question.
underway. Mhm.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I
Go
just had
ahead.
a question of the city manager. What's the timing on that strategic plan?
We're actually, Jennifer Savage, the assistant to the city manager, is running point on this. We're working with the consultant for his availability, which I believe he is available at the end of February to begin that process. And so we are working on that.
How much is the consultant charging us?
We would have that info available for you at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, great. And then secondly, I wanted to just agendize bringing back, so for the council and the public, just agendizing the master plan for bathrooms in San Clemente. There's a master plan that exists. It's not near completion. much hasn't been done with it for many years, but I'd like to bring that to the council. So we have it and the public sees it, kind of dust it off and identify what upgrades that we could do pretty immediately, particularly the doors for privacy, safety of the bathrooms that don't have those. So I'd like to agendize that, and I'm sure it's somewhere on the city website at this time. I have a hard copy at home somewhere. Do I have support for that?
I don't know of a master plan for bathrooms. I know of CIP.
Oh, no, there's a master
Projects.
plan for bathrooms.
I'll support agendizing that.
I don't, city manager, do you recall a master plan for bathrooms?
I don't recall that. But that doesn't mean it doesn't
It's
exist.
fine.
but
It does. I have it. So
I-
no worries. It
if-
was
if
before your
does
time,
exist, it's
Kathleen.
Probably somewhat old.
As long as.
But we've
haven't
done,
flushed it.
we've done work on bathrooms in the meantime, so
Yep.
I'm not sure if that plan's actually.
Do you need a staff
Appropriate.
report on that or just agendize?
I
it
just
for discussion?
agendize it for discussion, please.
Okay.
That would be good. Yeah. That would be excellent. Thanks. I think the last
No, that's
bathroom we paid, the city funded was the
There's
$500,000
not a report
one.
coming back.
Just-
They're going to agenda.
Perfect.
agendize it
Yeah, we're
without
just
a
going to
report.
discuss it. No staff report.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Can we
Is
move
that it?
on? Yeah,
Council
I have
member.
none,
No?
nothing.
I made the comment. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Two quick things. One on sand replenishment, the San Clemente Shoreline Protection Project, just an update. We have that project in the work. It's been in the work for 20 years. And it's in the proposed budget. We were hoping to get into the bipartisan infrastructure bill as well. That did not happen despite Congressman Levin's best efforts. We are still in the proposed budget. We're hoping Congress just did another continuing resolution into March. We're hoping, though, when the appropriation comes out, our project will be in there. So we're still hopeful and that we'll get that project going in beginning probably of 2023. So just an update there. One comment on our local Olympian, Haley Langland, snowboarder. Really did us proud. It didn't work out as well as she would have liked, but she conducted herself honorably and with great sportsmanship. And I know I'm proud of her, and I think we all are. So want to thank her for representing us well in the Winter Olympics in Beijing. And best of luck to her in the future. Thank you.
So I have one thing here. I'll get mail on this. Recently, the Orange County Register posted salaries for salaries or stipends, whatever you want to call them, for city councils. San Clemente was at the very, very bottom, with the exception of a couple who paid nothing. And I don't even recall who those small cities were. We are allowed to have, we have not taken a pay increase in 23 years. We're allowed to calculate 5% per year and provide not give ourselves a raise, but to give the next council a raise. That 5% per year over the last 23 years, I think comes out to about $860. So I have a motion. I haven't spoken with any of my colleagues on this, so I don't even know if I'll get any support on this. I have a motion that we put that forth and look at a pay raise from $400 a month to $860 a month. Can I have a second on that?
I can second that.
We actually are the city's best thing that they have, best.
Doesn't pay my gas bill.
It doesn't. One of the reasons why we didn't do it is we didn't want people to come in and do it for the money. And I can tell you what other councils, that's what we
I don't think
said.
that's going to be a problem.
I know,
$860, that's not a problem.
But, that's what it's been. And I've
So can I
served
have-
almost 8 years.
Can I
that
have
way.
a second?
I seconded,
yeah.
I seconded yours.
Councilor Ferguson.
Can I
Yeah.
have can I have a third?
And
on
I'll support that as well.
that? That's all I have.
Okay,
Um,
can I read a motion or adjournment then?
Yeah,
If I could ask that this evening's meeting be adjourned in honor of Robert Ming, the former mayor of Laguna Beach, died in a plane crash a few days ago in Kansas. a single engine plane solo pilot on his way to Albuquerque and didn't make the runway
Laguna
exit,
Niguel.
crashed and he died.
Laguna Niguel.
Did I say Laguna Niguel?
No,
You said
I think you
Laguna
said
Beach.
He
Oh,
said
I'm sorry,
Laguna
Laguna
Niguel.
Niguel. Thank you. You're right.
Um,
So I'd like to ask the motion to be, the
Absolutely.
meeting to be adjourned. in his honor.
I can second that. And the other thing I would like to add is I think we had a great meeting again this evening, just like we did 2 weeks ago. I
Mhm.
think decorum ruled the evening, and I appreciate my fellow council members and the audience. Thank
Excellent
you.
job. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, so I'll agree that we adjourn this meeting in the memory of Robert Ming to the next regular city council meeting scheduled to take place on March 1st, 2022. Closed session items will be considered at 5:00 PM and the regular business meeting will commence at 6:00 PM. The meeting will take place in the Community Center Auditorium located at 100 North Calle, Seville, San Clemente.
Second.
Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Aye.
and Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 5-0.
Thank you.